Was Brent Menard into a new mortgage-free smart home in Florida. Now, while on a road clearance mission in Afghanistan, Brent's vehicle was blown up by an improvised explosive device. Brent became a T4 paraplegic. Pendleton Towers built him a specially adapted smart home that allows severely injured heroes like Brett to live more independently. We hope you'll donate $11 a month so this great work can continue. Just go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Have you thought about the causes the brands you support stand behind? Well, Pure Talk supports our veterans. They've relieved $10 million in veteran debt, donated tens of thousands monthly to prevent veteran suicide, and donated $50,000 to Micro Works, helping to provide scholarships to veterans after active duty. It's time to jump ship from Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. Dial pound 250 and say keyword Pure Talk to save an additional 50% off your first month. Dial pound 250 and say Pure Talk.
The Morning Extra, only on Extra 106.3.
We did it, y'all. Good morning. This is the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. We are running on fumes, but I got to tell you, lots of smiles in the room this morning. Thank you for being here, 404-741-1230. Love to hear from everybody who wants to say, I'm not an authoritarian. I'm not a piece of garbage. I'm not any of the things that the leftist media called you for months and months and months. So please dial us up or find us on social media at Extra 106.3. Good morning, fellas.
Good morning. Good morning. Look, wow. 4 years that we've been doing this now. The three of us, and Carlos has, full-time, maybe not 4 years, but been here over 4 years.
Year three.
Fridays,
it felt like a long way away from the presidential election.
It's felt so long, and there was so much work, and there's so many congratulations to go out to so many people in Georgia who worked so hard. But especially here at Extra 106.3, last night was the culmination of a lot of hard work by Tug Cowart, who has been the rock that kind of held everything together and has put this in. And Joe last night, Flounder, Kimmer, Pete Davis, thanks to Janelle King and Joey Jones. I mean, the list can go on. Obviously, Carlos Medina, Rob Jenner's our production guy.
Scott Maxim came. From the, he does all our websites and kind of the back end stuff. Mike Aron making sure that the equipment worked, and it's just a lot of people.
Can't thank everybody.
David Dickey for believing that this could even work.
I'll tell you. So I got a chance to, and this was after we were done at 10:30 last night, because we made it a point 6 p.m. We're gonna jump on. We're gonna go until 10:30, and once we saw where everything was going, and when I saw the text from Tug, hey, we're checking out at 10:30, I was like, all right, cool. We did about 4.5 hours, and we all saw where everything was moving. And there was this weird culmination in my mind of like, I want to be on the air for it. Now, granted, we didn't really get the payoff till about 2 o'clock in the morning.
That's exactly right.
But the cool part was your boys were still texting each other at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, because every single one of us went home, got back to our corners, and none of us could go to bed. It was sleep. Like, watch and see what happens.
I couldn't sleep even if I'd have wanted to.
It was one of those things, and I thought of both of you, of course, first, more than anyone else. And, I was sitting there, and then I saw you guys kind of text at like 1:30, and I said, I think we're all afraid to fall asleep and wake up 2020.
Dude. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
100%. That's exactly right, man. 404-741-1230. Billy's in Canton. Billy, you're not a piece of garbage. Good morning.
Got it, boys.
Oh, it's Nature Boy. All right. What's up, Billy?
Ric Flair. I thought Billy was on the line. Turns out it's the Nature Boy.
Yeah. Hey, man, I'd just like to say we need to kill them with kindness on the other side. I know how it's tempting to rub it in, but at the same time, they shouldn't mistake our kindness for weakness.
Yeah.
But one more thing, I haven't been to sleep either. I stayed up and watched CBS news coverage, and they had the copium going all night, poking this thing in that county, hoping, if Kamala throws a Frisbee in the lake here, we'll get the votes. And and they were just making stuff up. I'm like, give it up, boys. Go home.
Yeah, it is time. It is time. Thank you,
Billy.
It was funny to see mainstream media and even local media here. You know, there's another station that does radio that depends on CBS, and they still had not called the race as of this morning, and they were kind of hoping, and the coverage that you hear is, okay, there's still time, there's still time, there's still many votes out there. But the reality was that America spoke yesterday, and I think what Donald Trump said, this is a referendum on a really poor job by the Democrats running not only this campaign, but also running this country.
Yeah, you talk about what happened over the last 4 years, and that's what really created this entire scenario where somebody who, by January of 2021, Donald Trump was dead in the water.
Yeah.
I mean, there was no political future. And I can't believe that I was tweeting this at 2:30 in the morning as I just pointed out. I said, if Joe Biden doesn't, the first move from Trump is to pardon Hunter Biden. It won't matter much, but it will allow him to have the leeway to do what he needs to be done, because the next several steps of what's going to happen, now that you're going to have the House and the Senate, it's going to get ugly. But you have to make it a point to say, here's an olive branch and leave me alone for 6 months.
That's exactly right. No,
Yeah.
I think that's 100% right, and I think it's very wise to take that tact. I think Billy is very wise in what he says. There is value in being a good winner, right? There's the sore loser thing. We're
terrible winner.
I know, but I'm going to help you. This is my
I
department.
need your help, Tug. Talk to me, Tug.
This is my department, man. I feel like I do well at this. But you're not going to see it. Here's the thing that's going to draw you off sides, is the mainstream media is not changing their tune. We have cuts that we'll play a little later of Joy Reid in full meltdown mode. It is, racist and sexist. You had CNN saying the same things. You have all these people because they have zero power over you anymore. Their place in the world of media is irrelevant. And
Yeah.
they don't know what to do with it.
They sure don't, and I think this really sent a message to the people above, the people that installed somebody to run for president, that the people aren't going to take it, that the people are rebelling, the people are saying, hey, we want our country back. We want to feel safe in our country. We want to be economically prosperous. We don't want you controlling the purse strings. We want to be able to make these decisions. And I think that message was delivered. The popular vote, the electoral vote, it all went to Republicans. And then look down ballot. You win the Senate. You got to lead in the House. I'm pretty sure you're going to take the House, too. I don't think there's going to be much change. We even got, a newcomer coming out of Georgia with Brian Jack. There's so many good things to come. But now is the time to really focus on issues that matter. It's going to be hard to convince some of the Democrats to say, hey, this is a common sense thing that we need to go ahead and get through. But the majority does help.
So I was not that petty enough because, again, what time we were done with the show, and by the time that we all kind of wound down, got home about, I think it was like right just after 11 o'clock, and I thought to myself, I'm going to go tap my wife and tell her that she's losing. But I didn't. I let it go. I let it go, okay? I let it go. I wanted to be like, babe, hey, your ass is beat. But I didn't do it. I did not go down that road. But that didn't stop me from doing it on Twitter now, because I'm a petty human being.
Sure.
But there's a part of me that goes, okay, now we have to draw that line of, I'm not looking to be a good winner. I'm looking to basically be authoritative.
Effective. Yeah. Effective.
And basically say that because, and this is what's encouraging this time around, so encouraging this time around, when I watched, and we all stayed up for it, when you saw Donald Trump get up on stage and it was the entirety of his team, that is the group that's coming into D.C. this time around. This isn't going to be the Boltons of the world or whoever else I'm told to hire. This is going to be his own team, and let's get to work.
No, that's right. Get your sleeves rolled up, and I think everybody is ready to do that. I mean, Elon Musk was very, very active on Twitter all night long. You're talking about family members calling. My son Jacob called me about probably 11:30. I bet we talked on the phone for an hour. Wow. I've not talked to my son on the phone for an hour, maybe ever. I mean, ever. And he just kept saying, is it too early to celebrate? Is it too early to celebrate? I was like, yep. 12:30, I was like, things look really good, kid.
Yeah.
You're good, man. I think we're going to be just fine. And he finally turned in. But that's the thing, that family relationship thing. Yours was a little bit different than mine, but it's just the fact that our families were communicating.
But I want to ask you, Rhino, because when we signed off at 10:30 in the evening, we all were talking about how things looked really good. By the time it's like 11:30, it almost felt like you didn't. The ring is right in front of you, and you didn't want to grab it yet, but it looked that way, and you started to hear from all the other analysts on CNN and MSNBC. I spent 3 hours on MSNBC.
Yeah,
they were doing whatever they could to avoid saying what was happening.
Yes. Yeah, I did the same thing. I stayed down at the Grand Hyatt for a little bit. I walked around. I think a lot of the people who we talked to throughout the night, plus some others that we didn't get a chance to talk to, and they still had that kind of pessimistic look at what will come through.
They're snake bit.
We all lived through it.
Yes.
Yeah, but you know what? There was this little smile in the corner of everybody's mouth that knew this is going to go our way. This is going to be too big to rig. And that was the most important thing. We talked to Frank Duffy at the end, and he's one of the many, many people that were there last night from Trump 47 that have worked so hard in the state of Georgia. They changed the way we are going to elect our leaders in the Republican Party just by getting that grassroots and that knock on the door to say, hey, you don't need handouts. What you need is an opportunity to go ahead based on your merit to work hard. And that's what we want to do, is make sure that everybody in this country is prosperous. And there is a way to do it with your own merit. And I think that will resonate a lot.
I'm so glad you brought that up, because this wasn't about money. All right. Like, money makes it really easy. Got a whole handful of people, and this is what we're going to go ahead and do. This was about volunteers. The difference in what happened in 2024 versus 2020 was the amount of volunteers, the attorneys on the ground, the people that said, hold on a second. I see you're trying to pull something here, and we're not going to allow it. Well, what was the state last night? Was it Pennsylvania that had made it a point, hey, we're going to stop the count? And immediately the attorneys rolled in and go, no, you're not. Like we're going to keep this thing going. To make sure, because they're like, legally, you can't stop the count. You can't play any games. You're not rolling in any trucks to start making some stuff happen. You're going to continue this count until the end. So by the time that Pennsylvania was over with at like 12:45, that was when we all felt really comfortable to go, man, Donald Trump won.
He absolutely won. And this is a full-on rejection of everything that the Democrat Party at this point, unless they change, unless they see the ill of their ways, which I just don't know that that'll happen. This is a rejection of everything that they stand for. The divisiveness of open borders. I'm telling you, the issue that didn't get talked about enough was the transgender issue. That was the sleeper issue. Men were having none of it. We don't want, and Los is a great example of it because he has 2 daughters. We don't want men in our women's locker rooms. We don't want men competing with our young women on the athletic fields. This is a repudiation of every mandates for EV. We're going to tell you what you will drive. We're going to tell you every move to make. It's a rejection of every bit of that.
It is. It's a rejection of the people should fear the government. That's what this is. This is no, the government needs to start fearing the people. And I think that was delivered really well last night. He won the popular vote. He won the electoral vote. The popular vote alone, look at the numbers. Look at the difference. Look at the difference that he won Georgia as well. The numbers are huge in the popular vote here as well. Oh, my gosh.
Well, if you look at every state, it's 100,000+ votes in every one of the states. I mean, it's over 100,000 votes in Pennsylvania. It's over 100,000 votes in Georgia. It's over 100,000 votes in Wisconsin. It's over 100,000 votes everywhere. There was no mistaking.
Last night, and I'm so glad that we talked about it and you guys gave me the leeway to do it. When we talked about Miami-Dade County for weeks of what could possibly happen, when Miami-Dade County ended up being red, that was the moment, because Miami-Dade County, what happens every single presidential election that we've had for the better part of 25 years, What happens? The Democrat wins it by about 500 to 700,000, and then you have to make up those numbers in the Panhandle, and the Panhandle typically delivers, and so whoever wins Florida typically wins Florida by about 50,000 votes. When that turned red in Miami-Dade County and also Duval, didn't expect that over in Jacksonville, he got out of Florida as 1 million votes ahead. That's where it sets you up between that and Ohio to where he was able to sit back and be like, I'm 2 million ahead, 3 million, 4 million ahead around the entirety of the country. This is no longer just, oh, hey, I won the Electoral College. It's like, no, I won the popular vote.
And the Electoral College. But
awesome.
Yeah, and then if you go to Pennsylvania, I think because I watched CNN from about 11, whatever time we got out of here, and I got over to the hotel room. We'll say 11 just to make it a round number.
By the way, were you just down the street?
Yeah, just double tree right here on the corner. Yeah, it was really, really close and easy. But when I saw CNN, because that's where I stayed the entirety of the night, I went to MSNBC a couple times because we all had the feeling that things were trending in the right direction, and I wanted to see how they were presenting. And everything on CNN, John King actually, I think, does a terrific job with his maps. And I think he does a better job of doing that and showing you than even Bill Hemmer over on Fox News Channel. But regardless, he kept saying, "It's not over yet. It's not over yet. We're not there yet. We're not ready. We still have some time. I mean, it's a mountain. It's a mountain to climb, but we still have some time." You could just see they were cheerleading and leading their audience down the right path. When they stopped, going back to your Miami-Dade County, Erie, Pennsylvania. When the county that Erie is in flipped red, their face went white.
Yeah.
And they didn't know what to say.
No, I think obviously Pennsylvania was that one, and I'm surprised that we've gotten. I'll be honest, I didn't think Pennsylvania was going to go very well. Not for Donald Trump, but just the entire process because of all the problems and issues they have. So give them credit that they went out and did that. But it was this morning when Wisconsin, that was the one that flipped it. Those 10 electoral votes came from Wisconsin, and calling that to make sure. But this could get to be a landslide soon because he's still leading in Michigan, even though they haven't called that. Right. He's got a 50% chance, or a 50% chance there. Yeah, 51% of the vote in Arizona, Nevada, 51%, and 55% in Alaska. They're still out there. So it's looking, it's looking like Kamala Harris is going to have no choice but to come out today and say, I did, Donald Trump ran a grant campaign. Let's see what she does.
So here's the fun part. Donald Trump is able to basically point out last time around that in 2020, hey, I had more votes than any sitting president in the history of the presidency, and this is what happened to me. And at that point, he was 70+ million votes. Where is he at right now? It's 71 million votes. Yep. Kamala Harris, it's 66 million now. Joe Biden got 80 million votes last time around.
Mm-hmm. Did he?
And that's it. Yeah. I told you, it's one of two things. We talked about it in the show. She's either a terrible candidate or 2020 was total BS. And guess what? They got 4 more years of TDS.
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. And,
they could have just let it go, man.
They couldn't. And I'm telling you, I think that going back to the rejection just quickly, that's also a rejection of the lawfare. That's a rejection of all the things that the Democrats did to Donald Trump. People saw it, they recognized it, and they rejected it. This is Extra 106.3. We'll come back with more coverage of the day after. We'll call ourselves Trump 106.3.
President Donald Trump is once again set to take office.
This was a movement like nobody's ever seen before. There's never been anything like this in this country and maybe beyond.
And Extra 106.3 is here to keep Atlanta informed and connected as things change in D.C. Proud to march on is the conservative voice of Atlanta. Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
Goodness gracious, what a morning. You're waking up and you've been used to waking up and it's in the mid-50s. It's mid-60s today. So you probably don't even think about what's happening with your HVAC as you're getting up this morning early. But when the weather does change back, and it will, you will be thinking about that. That will start crossing your mind again. Central Heating and Air Conditioning thanks you for trusting them with your heating and air conditioning needs all this year. They want you to have a home that you're comfortable in and that you can be breathing healthy, clean, allergen-free air, proper ventilation. That's something that they focus on. So if you need a maintenance agreement to make sure that your HVAC works through the winter, get one. They will. They'll come out to the house twice a year, make sure that thing's running like it's supposed to. If you need a brand new carrier system, they'll offer you $2,000 off with a great deal from Central Heating and Air Conditioning, the best in the business, working with the best in the business. Or if you want some of those carrier products that work with the home ventilation, that is important to my family because my son has pretty bad asthma. It makes it easier for him to breathe. It makes it easier for you to breathe, especially if you got pets. Call them today. If they can service you, if they can help you, they'll be glad to do it. They're locally owned, second generation, one of the few in Atlanta. 770-GET-HEAT, centralheat.com.
Tune into your new favorite show that's redefining the A to Z's of marketing, The Marketing Madmen. We'll take you behind the scenes of successful campaigns and reveal the strategies that win. We're not just talking about marketing, we're making it happen. From viral content creation to leveraging AI for customer engagement, our experts bring you to the cutting edge of industry. This is your playbook for market dominance. Tune in and transform your approach with actionable tips that could skyrocket your ROI. The Marketing Madmen every Saturday at 4 p.m. right here on Xtra 106.3.
I enjoy a good night's sleep, and I like to breathe while I'm sleeping. My wife appreciates that, too. That's why I wear a CPAP. You want the right machine. You want expert advice. You want all the supplies that go with it. You get it all at CPAPs, etc. in Alpharetta. Machines, masks, tubing, filters, cleaning supplies, all of it, and they ship nationwide. Walk-ins, by the way, are welcome. CPAPs, etc. Alpharetta, CPAPSETC.com.
Modular and offsite construction is booming. If you're an architect, building engineer, supplier, developer, or contractor, you can't miss the Offsite Construction Summit, coming to the International Convention Center in Atlanta on November 20th. With the rising cost of traditional building, modular and offsite construction is changing the way companies build. It's quicker, cheaper, and offers a faster ROI. So don't miss the Offsite Construction Summit, coming to Atlanta on November 20th. Register today at offsiteconstructionnetwork.com. That's offsiteconstructionnetwork.com.
Hey, it's a Kimmer. Okay, you're driving along. Suddenly you hear that horrible sound of metal and crunching. It's an accident. Even if it's a little minor fender bender, man, that could be a nightmare. First, obviously, take care of yourself. But before you make a deal with an insurance company or anybody else, call David Van Sant with Van Sant Law. You know why? Because he used to work for the insurance company, so he knows how to get the right settlement and right away. Van Sant Law. Don't forget, if you don't get paid, they don't get paid. Protecting your interests. Insurance is great, but it's complicated. 855-GA-INJURY or vansantlaw.com.
Kids across America are going to school hungry. Millions of kids every day. Hungry kids get sick more often and can struggle in school. It can be harder for them to focus and learn. But one simple thing can help change all of this for a hungry child in America. Good, healthy food and the energy it brings. With help from caring people across America, No Kid Hungry is providing healthy meals and hope to hungry kids so they can build better futures.
We want to ensure that all of our kids have healthy meals every day.
Thank you.
Thank you for helping feed our kids.
To learn more about ending child hunger in America, go to helpnokidhungry.org today.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines. Presented by RBM of Atlanta, your Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your top stories in the state of Georgia for today, Wednesday, November 6th. President Donald Trump is projected to win the state of Georgia and the 2024 presidential election over Vice President Kamala Harris. Donald Trump has flipped the state of Georgia red, securing 50.8% of the vote and claiming the state's 16 electoral votes. Trump also appears poised to win the national popular vote, marking the first time in over 20 years that a Republican candidate has achieved this feat. Fulton County DA Fonnie Willis, who brought charges against President Donald Trump, has won her bid for re-election. Willis defeated Republican opponent Courtney Kramer, securing 68% of the vote in the race for Fulton County District Attorney. And Georgia voters have re-elected all incumbents in the U.S. House of Representatives, and newcomer Brian Jack has won his election bid. Republican incumbents Marjorie Taylor Greene, Buddy Carter, Andrew Clyde, Mike Collins, Austin Scott, Barry Loudermilk, and Rick Allen will all return to Capitol Hill. On the Democratic side, Nikema Williams, Sanford Bishop, Hank Johnson, Lucy McBath, and David Scott will also reclaim their seats in the House. With your headlines, Scott Rhino, Trump 1063.
So let's go out and talk to David. He's in Kennesaw at 404-741-1230. David, what's on your mind, man? Good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. I was a little worried about the election, and I talked to my father yesterday. I'm 60 years old, and I've seen a few elections, and my father's 87. So he's seen quite a few more than me, and probably some that were more consequential. But my father gave me he said, one of two things is going to happen. He said America's either going to flush or it's going to wipe.
Oh.
And I think America wiped. I think America wiped away the crap and decided it was time to go a different direction.
Yes, sir. I believe David.
I really like that. That is a wise man, because part of what our system has always been is that whenever it's time to have America remake itself, we have the ability to do it. Mm-hmm. And I guess that was always my concern, is that when we were going the road that we've been going down for really the better part of 5 years, this really got rolling up in 2020 with a global pandemic, and suddenly you were telling people, and this is what bothered me always, you told people who were important and who were not. Mm-hmm. And then it got to the point where we decided who can go to their work, who cannot, and then here's how we're going to alter our elections. And then we started, really dictating things from there. And I think we reduced people down to a level that I personally didn't care for. And so to really get the chance to, just as you put it, you get a chance to wipe, you get a chance to say, hey, everything we've been doing for the last 4 years, it's gone, and not gone by a little bit right now.
I think a lot of the minority vote told them one thing.
Oh, my gosh.
One thing and one thing only. You will not divide us anymore. Because I think a lot of American people, and just seeing the influx of the youth, the influx of black voters, Hispanic voters, Asian voters, all sorts of voters coming in and saying, they're dividing us. They're not doing it. They're pandering to us, and they're not going to do anything for us. I think this was, once again, just an entire effort to say, we the people will not be divided by these politics anymore. We are looking for the truth. I think it was also a referendum to mainstream media to say, play your games, try to influence this. We're not buying your garbage anymore.
Yeah, I think, was it Latinos that he got 40% of the Latino vote?
We talked about it to end the show last night, and thank you for all of you. We thought when we were joking around about our YouTube channel, and we always do well when it comes to the amount of people that join, and we were like, well, we'll probably have like 6 people that'll be paying attention. We consistently stayed 50 plus the entirety of last night, and then obviously another 1,000 or so that were listening on the radios, and so that was really, really cool. So thank you to all of you. The cool part about so much of that was that we were all kind of looking at what was going on with when we ended the Jewish vote. And Jewish vote in New York City went 43% for Donald Trump. That's an unheard of number. You talked about the Hispanic vote. Rhino, you brought up the young African-American vote here in Georgia. And every single one of those, because we'd been talking about it, and we're like, well, what if it really happens? And it actually did happen that they voted.
It really did. And it was so inspiring, because I really do believe that Donald Trump unified the Republican Party. He brought so many newcomers into it. And I think a lot of that has to do with saying, hold on, I'm going to talk to Tulsi Gabbard. I'm going to talk to RFK Jr. We've got big problems with government overreach and trying to influence our elections the way they did by not even allowing RFK Jr. on a stage to exercise democracy and say, hey, I want an opportunity to get on stage with President Biden at the time and have this discussion and primary. And I think a lot of people said, no, this is not the way we form this republic. I think the lies of a threat to democracy kind of died last night. I think people realize this is a republic. We are doing what we need to do. And I think, again, it was counterculture for a lot of these people to say, I'm done with that. No, I want to have a great America again. It's okay to have pride in this country. Stop with the hate of this country. And Democrats have done nothing but show us hate of this country and then expect us to vote for them with no message and no issue.
I'm sorry. I normally don't get really caught up in just because this is how I live my life with this stuff, and this is what I push my daughters. We don't go about it and say, "Oh, who's backing me? Oh, and what color are they?" Like that's not how we function.
That's not how anybody functions.
You know, there's an entire party of this is how it goes.
I regular people, I guess normal people.
And it wasn't really until last night, and I thought to myself, I was like, all right, when it came to the vice presidential options, I was like, Donald Trump at one point looked over at Tim Scott and was like, polished, senatorial, amazing dude. And then he said, but I think the hillbilly with the Indian wife might be this. Now, he might have not said the Indian wife. I'm saying that. And oh, by the way, the former CEO in Vivek Ramaswamy is going to be this. Oh, by the way, the South African who's catching rockets out of the sky. These are the people I'm going to surround myself with. There was such a conglomerate of what is supposed to look like America. And the backing of that. Like when we got Dr. Ben Carson on, who joined us last week, and he couldn't wait to sing the praises of what's going on with this. There's so much of this stuff where you go, this is what it's supposed to look like if we're doing it right.
There's so much to gravitate toward. And I think that is what you're hitting on a little bit, is the fact that you don't have to love everything Donald Trump is. Look, my wife don't love everything that I am. Right. You know what I mean? Yeah. She loves me. You know, we have a wonderful marriage. We've been married 23 years, but there's things about me that I'm sure irritates the daylights out of her. Of course. Like if I don't know, if I leave my socks on the floor after I get up in the morning. I don't know, just making it up as I go. But there's something that is going to irritate her.
Once a month, there's like just a glass that's half filled with bourbon that's on the floor, and she's like, he did it again.
He did it again. But that's the thing. But there's so many other things about me that she does love, and I'm so grateful for that. But and maybe this is a bad analogy, but I think that's what Donald Trump put together. There's a place for everybody.
There really is. And I think going back to what Carlos said about the Jewish vote in New York, that number is there because you had somebody, when they talk about the other side, you have someone who decided to make a decision based on someone's religion. They said, Josh Shapiro, you're great, but you're Jewish, so we're not going to pick you as a VP. We're going to go another way. And I think that really made a lot of Jewish people. And I ran into a bunch last night at the event, the Georgia GOP. Somebody who has been working really hard with the Republican Jewish Coalition here in the state of Georgia, Chuck Burke and his wife Bonnie. They do great things. They were the ones who hosted Clay Travis and had this for a lot of the Jewish voters to come down and hear about the playbook and what needs to be done. All these groups, they were very, very happy to see a Jewish outcome the way they did, not only here in this state, because we do have a pretty good Jewish population here, but in New York and other areas where a lot of Jewish families, live. We hear a lot of Jewish families still in New York and those areas. New Jersey, too. Believe it or not, there was a big Jewish vote in New Jersey.
Yeah, no, it didn't surprise me at all. Going back to the Hispanic vote really quick, Trump won Starr County, Texas. The most Hispanic county in America, 97% Hispanic in Starr County, Texas. He won it by 16 points. The last time it voted Republican was 1892.
Wow. I'm just going to tell you, and this is a slap on the back for me. What did I say about who hated illegal immigration the most?
Yep, 100%.
And that's growing up in Texas, where regular, hardworking Hispanic Americans sit back and they look at what was going on at the border and like, this sucks. And and that's the only way that you get that kind of vote is a backlash off of stop doing this. Because and a lot of these people, especially when it comes to a lot of South Texas communities, just from seeing this when I was growing up, there's a lot of people that are just getting by. And so when suddenly there's an influx of new people that come in, these are not lily white communities where, hey, it's pretty comfortable and we're in our small town and we're making it work. It's like, no, you really have to grind to get by. And when suddenly the local store, the local factory, the local shop goes, hey, I just brought in 10 new people and they're all making $4 an hour less than you are. You want to take $4 an hour less. That was the gasoline on the fire that caused that sort of response when it came to voting.
But you could, and that's a great example, and you could look across the country because it was working people that gave Donald Trump
across the board
win across the board. It didn't matter race, it didn't matter sex. If you are a working person, you voted for Donald Trump, and I don't know if they mean to sound as insulting as it comes off. But as I told you, I watched CNN all night when they were talking about those uneducated people voting for Donald Trump. You know, I'm an uneducated person. I'm a 3-time college dropout. My mama didn't. She got her GED after dropping out in 8th grade to go work for the family. My dad did the same thing. 8th grade, dropped out of high school to go work for the family. They physically picked cotton in Dalton, Georgia, because that's what makes the rugs and that's what makes the Chanel and that's what makes the carpet. This was years and years ago. They were very, very young, and then they go to get to high school, get to 8th grade, they drop out, they go back and get their good enough diploma. And I'll tell you, they are the wisest people that I've ever met in my entire life. They are not book smart, but they are more wise than anybody on CNN gives them credit for. And I would say the same thing applies to all of those working people that CNN looked down their nose at last night.
It's a mind virus that they really inject a lot of American people with. Tug Cowart could have been in those carpet factories in Dalton. Tug Cowart may not have graduated or dropped out of college, but you do have that common sense. And I think that's what Donald Trump talked about. We are the party of common sense. It's not about intelligence. It's not about anything else. You can relate anything you want and rank people in any way. But there are so many people that, like you and others, myself, that never finished college and never got their degree, but have worked hard and are smart. And are smart. And you can call me whatever you want. You could call me garbage. It's not going to affect me. I actually feel like I'm a better person for not worrying about what you call me, that I'm not going to fall into your traps of name calling the way the left loves to do it. We spoke up yesterday. America spoke up yesterday. The people spoke up yesterday, and it was such a it was such a divisive race where they separated half the country. They called women dumb. What a silly comment
and men
to do.
Sexist and racist and all the other things that went along.
They're the party of women, and they called half the country of women dumb and weak.
Thank you, Mark Cuban.
Yeah.
You did so great with that.
You took him off the road just a little too late.
So my wife, I told her this morning because she's getting on a flight. She's heading to Ohio. And so I just told her, hey, good morning.
That's Trump country.
It's, by a million votes. And she said, morning, congratulations. Because, that's her, I'm just letting you know.
Yeah, I got it. I see it.
This is what I texted her back. Congratulations to you. We hired a dude whose company catches rockets out of the sky to fix this price mess.
Yeah, it's the absolute truth.
I'm like, I'm having to drag you along with this. And that is the way we need to look at it. There are going to be people on the left that are going to go with this kicking and screaming because they still have bought into the caricature of Donald Trump. When that man was shot, that's when he won. That's when it changed everything as a mentality. It was no longer cool to be like, oh my God, this guy is Hitler. At that point, it became a joke. I rolled right into it. I was like, you're right, he's Hitler and he's going to win.
Yep.
We need to bring these people kicking and screaming to prosperity, and they're going to complain about it the entirety of the time. And you
call you names.
And you can just look at them and just be like, I'm doing this for you, and that's okay. You're undeserving. This is the epitome of grace. What is grace? Something given, not deserved.
Not deserved. Absolutely right. It's pats on the head.
Pats on the head. I like it. Hey, listen, I want to hear from everybody today.
Yeah, me too. 404-741-1230.
You guys made this station what it is today, listening, and I want to hear you celebrate with us. We love you, all of you, and all of you who have been here for the past 4 years. Thank you.
Intern Andrew just texted us.
Oh, wow.
He's up listening early this morning.
Wow.
Intern Andrew, who did such a great job this summer. Now back in college, playing college basketball, and just had some really nice things to say about his experience with us, and is encouraged, just like the rest of us.
Yeah, that's a good kid, man. That's
Absolutely.
a good, hardworking American right there.
I hope he's plowing through his entire campus.
I hope he put a wig on and tried out for the girls' team.
Yeah, no, he's doing well enough that he can play on the boys' team.
Oh, okay.
And he is a good kid, man. I'm telling you. This is the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. More about the landslide victory that you've been waiting for. Next on the Morning Extra.
Voters across the nation spoke out and declared prominently that it's time for a change. It's time to move on from the current administration and work hard to strengthen America again.
We're going to help our country heal. We're going to help our country heal. We have a country that needs help, and it needs help very badly.
Count on the conservative voice of Atlanta, Extra 106.3, to bring you the latest updates, unrivaled national and local coverage of the transfer of power and everything that needs to happen next. Proud to be your voice and proud to bring sanity back to the White House. Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
As the longest continually operating franchise in Major League Baseball, the Atlanta Braves have plenty of history to share with fans. Tours of Truist Park are offered year-round, and take guests behind the scenes to areas normally off limits during games. With artifacts and exhibits distributed throughout the ballpark, it's a definite must for any Braves or baseball fan. Visit Braves.com/tours to purchase your tickets today. And did you know that along with exclusive tours around the ballpark, you can also host a private event at Truist Park? Corporate meetings, trade shows, team building events, holiday parties, rehearsal dinners, you name it. Truist Park can host it. Their dedicated staff is sure to bring your vision to life. Whether you're looking for a large space or something more intimate for your next event, there's a venue to accommodate your needs. Visit Braves.com/events to see more details. Atlanta Braves Baseball. We are Braves country.
Hey, it's Mike with Atlanta Painting Company. In this fall, we invite you to transform your home. Our expert team brings color to life with top quality paints and flawless finishes, and leading the industry with our color consultants. Whether it's a fresh coat of paint for one room or an entire exterior makeover, the Atlanta Painting Company has you covered. So, trust the local pros for reliable, professional service when you need to revive your home or business. Find us at atlantapaintingcompany.com or call us at 1-800-PAINTING. That's atlantapaintingcompany.com. The Atlanta Painting Company, the painters you can trust.
The end of the year is closing in, and with it, another tax year comes to an end. As you prepare to file your taxes, consider the efficiency of your tax strategy. Have you maximized your IRA and Roth contributions? Do you have an RMD strategy in place? Are you making moves now to maximize your future tax-free income? Not only is the year-end fast approaching, but the 2017 tax cuts sunset at the end of 2025, placing many Americans in a higher tax bracket. Don't just report your taxes, plan for them. Contact Master Plan Retirement Consultants now to create a retirement plan specifically designed for you. Visit masterplanretire.com to schedule your complimentary consultation where we can illustrate your retirement outlook and create a plan together for your future. Master Plan Retirement Consultants. Plan well and prosper.
Advisory services offered through Master Plan Retirement Consultants, Inc., a registered investment advisory in the state of Georgia. Insurance, tax, and commodity services offered through Fricks & Associates, Inc., DBA Master Plan Retirement Consultants. The aforementioned are affiliated companies.
If you notice any cracks in your foundation, they are not going to go away. They need to be addressed as soon as possible to reduce additional costs that come with repair. Ramjack is the best company in the industry for repairing your foundation. We have the highest quality products in the nation. So, if you are experiencing foundation problems, please contact us at ramjack.com/Atlanta or call us at 770-502-8881. That's 770-502-8881.
What's up, Atlanta? It's Ben Burnett, host of the Weekend Ben Burnett Show. Each and every weekend, right here on Extra 106.3, we unpack all the week's events. We talk about all the issues with a local Atlanta-based flavor. You can catch me each and every weekend, Saturdays at 2 and Sundays at noon. If you ever miss an episode, you can go to the podcast park or wherever you download all of your content, and I'll be right there. Thanks for listening to the Ben Burnett Show, proudly brought to you by Butler Snow.
Serving my country required sacrifice that changed my life forever. I remember the day I came home. Because of my injuries, this house wasn't right for me anymore. I remember the narrow doorways, the small bathrooms, the shelves out of reach when in my wheelchair. Every day was full of obstacles. I felt trapped. I remember a better day, the day my family received a specially adapted custom home from Homes for Our Troops. That day changed everything. Now we have a safe and accessible home to enjoy the freedom I fought for. This place, our home, is exactly what we needed to rebuild our lives.
Homes for Our Troops builds and donates specially adapted custom homes nationwide for severely injured post 9/11 veterans and enables them to rebuild their lives. Join our mission at hfotusa.org.
Live and local news talk continues at 3 p.m. with Kimmer, Pete, and Flounder. It's the Kimmer Show, only on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
Tug, Rhino, and Lowe's on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. We're so glad that you are here with us this morning, and we want to let you talk about the election as you saw it. Lindsay is in Atlanta at 404-741-1230. Lindsay, what's on your mind? Good morning.
Hey, good morning, guys. I'm an ATLOG. I was born here, grew up here, professional degree. Used to listen to the Kimmer when he and Sean Hannity were here locally. Neil Bortz used to have Smart Ass White Boy and Creative Loafing. And I watched the election almost like the Falcons fan. I wasn't going to cheer until the game was over.
Totally get that.
I get it.
And the reason I say that is you just don't know how these guys are going to cheat.
Yeah.
And it's really unfortunate that so many people are communists.
You're right. Lindsay's not wrong. There is that element where you're like, wait a minute, how do you look at the price controls and all that? When the Washington Post says, hey, man, you probably shouldn't, if you're getting called communist, you probably shouldn't continue putting out communist ideas and standing next to communist ideas and promoting them. And that's the thing that I think Lindsay is spot on, because it's confusing to me. I would even say it about my Aunt Peg.
Yeah.
She always, her and her husband are always talking about how something's commie and it's a bad thing. And I'm like, but that's what you're voting for.
Now, did you talk to her? Is she okay?
No, I've not.
All right, we need to check in on her.
I would never, just because she wouldn't take my call. She would send me a
What you
voicemail.
need to do, and this is just a suggestion on my part, you don't have to do it, okay? What I would suggest to you, you buy her a bottle of wine. Now, cheap wine.
Yeah.
Like Kamala wine.
Yeah,
like
a box
wine.
Maybe a box
of
wine.
wine.
Yeah, box wine.
And a mouth guard. Because she's going to grind her teeth over the next 4 years, maybe out of existence. I don't know.
Yeah. We have to get some dentures or something.
Real quick, I know we got another call, but some of the people out on Leanne who, is new. We got so many people on YouTube, and it keeps growing every day. So thank you. Good morning to all of you. I love what Keith said. Y'all, Joe Biden is waking up. Smile.
He is.
He is. For the first time.
Another thing we talked about. It's like Jill Biden and Joe Biden, they both cannot stand Kamala Harris. They did not care for what they were doing. He gets to walk away from this saying, I won. In a weird way, he's like, I beat him, and now look what happened.
Nobody else has. We're going to Ray in Canton. Ray, what's on your mind at 404-741-1230?
Hey, I'm also college educated, got a doctorate degree. I'm a physical therapist, and the reason I voted for Trump is my first year out of PT school, I got 2 or 3 jobs, depending on the time, and I've had 2 jobs ever since to pay my student loans back as quick as I could. And because I did that, I went to file my taxes, and the government said, you don't get a tax break on your student loans because you made too much money.
Yeah.
So when I see policies like, hey, we're going to no taxes on overtime, no taxes on tips, I don't know if those will ever pass, but to see somebody rewarding somebody for working hard and doing extra, that speaks to me. Instead of just, hey, here's your free student loan handout, we should just reward people who want to work harder.
First off, I love that, because you're going to have the House, the Senate, and the presidency. And so if you want to talk about, the word's always been codify. We're going to codify these things. You have a real opportunity with the next tax bill to not only extend the current era tax cuts, but to add some things along these lines, making sure to not tax, whether it happens to be just your tips, or whether it happens to be overtime, or whether it happens to be Social Security. This should extend to not just you, but let's also make sure that my mom, who's drawing Social Security, is not having to pay taxes on this stuff. That makes a lot of sense. And by the way, it's all based on output. It's not based on a handout.
Right.
You already worked for it. You should keep it.
That's why I love what Ray said there. He worked so hard to pay off his own debts. He didn't expect Rhino. He didn't expect you to pay for it. He didn't expect me to pay for it. He said, I'll work 3 jobs to pay off my debts. And that's it. There's a reason that my wife and I are paying for our son's college. It's because I don't want him having to work 3 jobs, trying to figure it all out. Like, I'm able to help him start with a leg up.
Yeah.
But it's because I've busted my ass that he is able to do that, and I'm willing to give it to him.
Yeah, it is one of those things, too. And you're in the same boat I am, I think, in the regards of, there was a time that came that I could have went to college and I could have taken in debt and more debt, and I knew that, is it worth it for me at this point to go ahead and go to school when I feel like I got into a career that I really loved at that point? I was working for Home Depot. I was a manager with Home Depot at an early age. And I said, hey, I'm fully vested in this company. I'm learning about business. I'm learning about all that. And I wanted to go back to school and do those things. But I realized, is it worth it for me? Is it worth it for me? And I wanted to be able to make that decision. And I knew that I didn't want to work 3 jobs. I didn't want to have to pay back that debt to, what happened to be at that time, a federal agency that was controlling how much I'd have to pay and what I was going to do. And I just made that decision for myself, and that's okay. And I'm proud of what I've done and where I am today. And so many people did take on this debt, and they're not going to get that help, but they realize that, and they're going to work hard to pay off their debt. I would have had to pay off my debt, and I would have paid off my debt. I just didn't want to take it on at that time.
So I got a friend of ours, all of ours, except for you, Joe. You don't have this friend. It's John Kincaid.
Oh, I love that man.
And John Kincaid does morning radio. Just don't roll your eyes, Joe. John's a really great dude. He helped build this radio company. Sitting there, Joe's sitting there rolling his eyes like, oh, we're going to talk about Kincaid. So John does morning radio, sports radio in Philadelphia now. And he was one of the first guys who told me, hey, Fetterman's going to win because here's the reason why. And he laid him out. And I was like, and again, John's pretty conservative like the rest of us.
But he's so dialed in, too.
And he sent me a text message this morning, and this is the way it hit me. He said, what happened to those 15 million votes? Because when you look at it, and again, we don't have Michigan, we don't have Nevada, we don't have Arizona that are all counted up. But right now, as of this morning, you have Kamala Harris, who has 300,000 more votes than Hillary Clinton did in 2016. And Donald Trump has his 71 million votes. Now, again, it'll go up just based on what it is. But basically, you have the same margin of 2016. What happened in 2020 was a total farce.
Yes, of course it was. I mean, you've said that a dozen times. Just when you look at the charts, the graphs, how it's just an impossibility the way the numbers
from
break.
66 million votes for the Democrat to suddenly 81 million, and you jumped over an incumbent president that was actually pretty popular. And now, okay, I'm not trying to be that guy, but I'm going to be that guy right now.
Yeah.
You're going to have to reap it. All right? Like for the next 4 years, whenever Aunt Peg gets up and she's so mad about what Donald Trump said, it's your fault.
Yeah.
You could have just let it go. You could have not just played these games.
Been done and over with.
So now he's been living in your head rent-free since 2016, and that's going to continue for another 4 years.
Incredible. You know, it is funny. Go ahead.
Well, the good part is that, the Senate and the House look really good. So we're not going to have to deal with the whole crazy impeachment games and the things that Democrats are going to want to play.
At least 2 years, because usually it flips.
But don't pretend that they're not going to try.
Oh, no, of course. There's not anything that they can get done for at least 2 years.
Yes.
They can't do all that silliness for at least 2 years.
Which is the important part about going in there, leading, doing the things that you said, fixing the border, fixing the economy, start working for the people. Start it today.
No doubt about it. This is Extra 106.3, Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station. We're glad that you're here. We would love to have more of your calls this morning so you can say what's on your mind. How are you feeling about the landslide win for Donald Trump in the election last night? 404-741-1230 is the number. Angela Morabito will join us in the 8 o'clock hour. She was under Betsy DeVos at the education department working for Donald Trump. And let me tell you, she is a firecracker. If you've not listened to her on our show before, she's coming up at 8. Seth Weathers, who put Trump's face on a beer can, he's coming up at 9:30. Lots of guests this morning, too, on Extra 106.3.
President Donald Trump is once again set to take office.
This was a movement like nobody's ever seen before. There's never been anything like this in this country and maybe beyond.
And Extra 106.3 is here to keep Atlanta informed and connected as things change in D.C. Proud to march on is the conservative voice of Atlanta. Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
Join A Second Chance Bail Bond CEO Daniel Madelon and host Tug Coward for the weekly radio show Back Your Blue. They will highlight special initiatives, criminal justice programs, and community events aimed at keeping our communities safer. Tune in Saturdays at 10 a.m. to learn some good news about and from the law enforcement and justice communities. This week's guests are police wellness officers Joni Muller-Reed and Chuck McPhillamy of the Marietta Police Department. Tune in on Saturdays or catch up on all past episodes wherever you get your podcasts or at thepodcastpark.com.
No one plans on going to jail, but when it happens, it's important that you know who to call. Call A Second Chance Bail Bonds, where we believe everyone deserves a second chance. Whether your loved one's been arrested in Cherokee, Clayton, or any of the other metro Atlanta counties in between, A Second Chance Bail Bonds works fast to help expedite release within hours. A Second Chance. It's better to know us and not need us than need us and not know us. Call A Second Chance 24/7 at 404-BAIL-OUT. Or online at atlbail.com.
Compact Outside, the all-electric EQB 250 SUV is big on space, style, and smart ideas. With available seating for 7, a digital voice assistant, and MB navigation with electric intelligence, the EQB is born from a forward-thinking family and built for yours. Experience the all-electric 2024 Mercedes-Benz EQB 250 SUV today and lease one for just $399 per month for 36 months with $48.93 due at signing. Exclusively from RBM of Atlanta in Sandy Springs. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details on this vehicle and many other models. And visit today to see how to qualify. Special lease rate available only to qualified customers exclusively from Mercedes-Benz Financial Service through RBM of Atlanta Sandy Springs through December 2nd, 2024. Excludes tax, tag, title, and Georgia Lemon law fees. Contact RBM of Atlanta for details on this and other exciting offers. Visit rbmofatlanta.com or call us at 770-390-0700 for details.
Get ready for Real Talk on the Janelle King Show, where we tackle kitchen table topics that are banned from family gatherings, but crucial for a strong republic. Tune in every Saturday at 3 p.m. and every Sunday for an encore episode at 9 a.m. And if you can catch us live, great. But if not, no worries. New podcasts drop every Tuesday on the Podcast Park right here on Extra 106.3 or wherever you get your podcast. Join us for insightful conversations that matter.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on the station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to firstlibertyga.com and see if our First Liberty Notes are right for you. Go to firstlibertyga.com. That's firstlibertyga.com.
First Liberty Notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
WFOM and W292 EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. This hour is presented by Van Sant Law, vansantlaw.com.
This is a Fox News alert. An ex-president will be our next president. I'm Dave Anthony.
Look what happened. Is this crazy?
Former President Trump celebrating victory at about 2:30 this morning in Florida.
This will truly be the golden age of America.
He spoke not long after the Fox decision desk projected Trump the winner, defeating Vice President Harris.
We're going to help our country heal. We're going to help our country heal. We have a country that needs help.
The former president reiterated many of his well-known policy goals, but he also thanked newer prominent supporters like Elon Musk and Robert F. Kennedy Jr., saying he intends to keep building coalitions. In West Palm Beach, Eben Brown, Fox News.
Now, North Carolina was the first toss-up state called for Trump.
I'm just tickled to death because I'm telling you, we couldn't have 4 more years of what we've had.
Another voter in Pennsylvania tells Fox.
Relief. Joy. And maybe things will get back to normal. Maybe we can afford whatever we want to buy again.
Fox calling Wisconsin for the former president before 2 a.m. gave Trump enough electoral votes to win, 277. And he leads in 4 states not called yet: Alaska, Arizona, Michigan, and Nevada. And the former president leads in the popular vote. We've not heard yet from the vice president. She did not address her election night gathering at Howard University in Washington. Harris campaign co-chair Cedric Richmond told supporters she'll emerge later today.
To address not only the HU family, not only to address her supporters, but to address the nation.
Democrats have also lost control of the Senate and the next Congress.
We're tired of being treated like second-class citizens in our own country.
Republican Bernie Moreno unseated Democratic Senator Sherrod Brown in Ohio, and the GOP gained another seat with Jim Justice's victory in West Virginia. Republicans have lead in 4 of the 5 other Senate races not called yet. Republicans also may keep control of the House. They have more seats so far than Democrats. America's listening to Fox.
Police officer and K-9 handler Jacob Russell Chaffins was fatally shot while attempting to serve warrants for domestic violence offenses. And thanks to friends like you and your generosity, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave the Chaffins family the gift of a mortgage-free home. There's so much more to do and to say thank you to our nation's heroes and their families for their immense sacrifices, all for us. Donate $11 a month. Go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Have you thought about the causes the brands you support stand behind? Well, Pure Talk supports our veterans. They've relieved $10 million in veteran debt, donated tens of thousands monthly to prevent veteran suicide, and donated $50,000 to Mike Rowe Works, helping to provide scholarships to veterans after active duty. It's time to jump ship from Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. Dial pound 250 and say keyword Pure Talk to save an additional 50% off your first month. Dial pound 250 and say Pure Talk.
No traffic, no big deal. It's the Morning Extra on 106.3.
Doug, Rhino, and Los on the Morning Extra on Extra 106.3. Good morning, America. You did it. Good morning, Atlanta. You did it. You changed the direction of this country for the better. God bless you. God bless America. 404-741-1230 is the number if you'd like to talk about what happened last night. And there's been so many. I don't think we've had that many callers in the 6 o'clock hour in 4 years of the station. So
whatever
amazing.
Your reaction's totally cool. I don't care what it is. Hey, it's your day. I will say this. Rhino Tug, y'all get like a special, like there's a cookie in your future.
Oh, count me in.
Because
yeah.
considering,
Fat boys love cookies. Yes,
because considering when this radio station got started, you guys jumped in with both feet and basically turned this into. We went through one of the more depressing times during 2020. And you guys took over and was like, all right, let's get to the midterm election. And 2022 was not a happy time either, as far as what the results were. To then see this through nearly 4 years later, and you guys plugged away as long. Like I said, I'm the freeloader. I came on late. I didn't do. I'm like a year and a half behind you guys. Okay, like I'm the one who came in and was like, so I'm glad you built this thing. Glad I get to jump in. You guys were the ones who got the helmets on and went through this. So this is as much y'all's day as anybody else's.
Okay, let me first of all say, and Tuggle back me up on this. Every Friday we said, Carlos, please come over. And you didn't have to. You were doing sports, and you knew that, hey, if I come over there, like, you
gave me a place to complain. I was so excited.
And you names. And you made this show what it is today just by coming on every Friday and being a part of this show. So you as well have helped build this. And all the listeners. I mean, there are so many loyal listeners. The time you spend listening is unbelievable in this market. What we're doing, 35 to 64 in this market right now with what we're working with and unable to distribute all over the state, but you guys are doing it for us on the app and keep telling people.
And you keep sharing with people. So I met a woman last night, and it was a backhanded compliment. As soon as I told her, I'm like, hey, I'm with Xtra 106.3, because she kind of gave me that look. I'm sure Rhino dealt with it the same way. People will look at you and they're like, why are you on a headset? You know, what's going on there? And I explained, I'm like, well, I'm with Xtra 106.3. She goes, I listen every day. And I put my hand, and I was like, well, hey, I'm Carlos. I host the morning show with a couple of my friends. And she just goes, oh, I don't listen to you.
Wow.
She goes, I don't get up early enough. I listen to Kimmer.
I love that.
I was like, son of a bee.
That's great. The funniest thing that happened last night is when Janelle and Kelvin King come in, and the sub-sisters from Nucky's, who brought wonderful dinner for everybody, brought sub sandwiches, was so good, and we appreciate
Any leftover?
Yeah, I know there's some potato chips back there. I did see that, but Janelle had no idea who they were. She just knew they were. She was like,
it was a lot of people.
Yeah, it was, and the room was packed. She said, are they in part of Kimmer's fan club? I hear he has a fan club. And they kind of are. I was like, Janelle, you have no idea about the fan club.
Yeah.
This thing, she said, since they've started advertising on Xtra 106.3, the rabid Kimmer fans that have come to Nucky's Hoagies over in Roswell is through the roof. She's like, and they make sure to tell me, I know about you because of Xtra 106.3 and Kimmer Show.
It is amazing. I ran into some last night. Carlos, you'll appreciate this, and Tug, you as well, of course. People came up and they were like, Rhino and Carlos, why is it, and they asked me this question, why is it so many sports guys go over to a conservative talk like a Clay Travis, who's on your station, you and Carlos, Tug, who is doing sports for a while, all of you. What is it about sports that you guys decide to come over and talk about politics? Will Kane, another one. I thought it was really funny, but it is great to hear people who have been listening for not just our station, 680 The Fan, a beautiful, amazing station as well. I mean, just to be able to have this opportunity to have people be a part of this community. This is the new media, and it really is. I mean, we're doing the digital thing on YouTube, and I appreciate everybody who's been a part of that as well.
Worked really, really hard on that.
But I think we're going to continue to grow and grow and grow, and I think more people are going to feel safe today. Feel safe to wear that Make America Great Again hat. I can't wait to get my 47 hat.
Well, I'll tell you, and this is, we'll allow it for today. This is like the 24-hour rule.
Right, yeah.
Man, I'm going to gloat.
And then you got to put your head down.
And I'll tell you, and this was the benefit of talking with Dr. Rich McCormick last night. Because, he won. He got his 65% of the vote. In fact, when you came to me at one point on last night's coverage and I told how loud it was, I really didn't hear you come to me. And then I recognized it and I was like, hey, it's a really loud room. He was 5 feet above my head. I was underneath the staircase is where I was set up in this room. And so he was 5 feet over my head and talking to the entirety of the room. So I was listening to him. And so that's how I kind of got lost with what was going on. Then he came down the staircase, came around the corner to come meet. But he said the one thing that really jumped out to me. He goes, we're going to lose seats. That's what happens. He goes, but what are we supposed to deliver over the next 2 years? And I think that ends up being the goal. It's like, hey, we gloat for 24 hours. Then it comes down to January 2025. What are the main things? And make them the main things.
Get to work.
Codify so many of the laws at the border. Codify so many of the issues when it comes to the tax policy. Get after it. Let's not get caught up in any silliness right now. And I can't wait to see what this team does.
404-741-1230 is the number, letting you say what is on your mind. How do you feel about the election? How do you feel about the direction of the country? What do you have to say, Daniel, in Atlanta?
Well, guys, good morning. I woke up last night. My dog woke me up because he needed to go outside, but it was 2:30 in the morning, so I clicked on the TV and got the good news. But I wanted to throw something out there for you guys to talk about. It seems like about a week ago, we all got gaslit with Kamala being up 3 points in Iowa. And I think she got to 42 or 43 or something like that. So I just want to throw that out there and let y'all chew on that for a minute.
Yeah, no, it's great, I will tell you, Daniel, that's a really good point, because I think it was last night by the time we signed off at 10:30, and I flipped over to Fox News and checking it out on the radio, and they had a kind of a simulcast between their radio and their television, and they brought up what was going on in the polling. And she was behind in Iowa by 15 points. If you don't realize that the polling at times is strictly meant to influence you, that poll, I don't know if it was bought and paid for, but it was strictly meant to influence you to make you think she has a better chance than she does.
Tug's always been, I don't trust any of these polls, and he's right. And we talk about why. But we did look into the internals, and we did look to see where there might be some truth in the polls. The mainstream media was going to play the game and try to push that. And I think they got caught in that. I think they got caught in these foolish polls and so many polls. The betting market turned out to be pretty good. The Wall Street idea of who was going to win based on where money was moving, I think turned out to be really good. When we talked about, hey, you can have these leaders of unions going out there and endorse, but watch as the working class comes out and those workers that are part of these unions come out and start making their voice heard. It was a huge, huge message sent last night, and I love what we're seeing today, and I hope it continues. But again, today is the day of gloating. I hope that everybody remains calm, especially on the other side. When they wake up this morning, especially on the West Coast, and they start to see some of these numbers, they might not be happy. Portland already preparing for big problems. Seattle, we know those areas and the problems that we've had. Let's hope it stays calm, because you know what? There is a way forward. We are uniting this country, and we have to get to work. We have to get to work to do common sense things for all of America.
You know who's most tired of all that? Working folks.
Yeah.
That's who's most tired of setting cities on fire, having autonomous zones, whatever that means. The silliness of people that are paid to go disrupt and destroy. Working people work too damn hard for the things they have to see people go into somebody else's neighborhood and destroy it. They know the work that they've put in for their own place, and they don't like seeing someone else's place done that way, and you saw it last night in the election.
So this jumps out to me because it applies to all of us here, and it even applies to Joe with his silly mustache. Joe should be at a point where he's getting real close.
Punch it back this morning.
Yeah.
Well, no, Joe's my guy. That's why he doesn't take offense. Joe, am I the nicest person to you on the air as far as everyone?
Yes.
Definitely.
Whoa.
I see how Tug's mean.
Whoa.
It ain't Rhino.
Definitely not Rhino.
But I think about what Joe wants is Joe wants low interest rates. So when he decides to make that move, he buys his first place. Same thing with Tug. Tug is like, I'm an empty nester. My next move for the better part of a decade has been when my son is out of the house, we're going to downgrade. This is what we're going to go and do, and we're going to find a nice, comfy place, and here's what's going to happen. I think about the same way. With Rhino's property that he has in an entirely other county, he's just like, hey, what if I sell this? Here's what I'm able to do. These are the things that have been stalled out for even people that it's not like any one of us is sitting on some sort of crazy gold mine. It's just this is the stuff that we're supposed to do, and we haven't been able to do this for the better part of 4 years.
No, and it is. I have optimism that this economy is going to be fixed, because from day one, I talked about Jan 20 being the worst day in American history, the day we signed away our energy independence, and I look for it to return, because I think that is what makes everybody prosperous. Everybody knows energy is the key to really power, money, and control. And as much as I don't like control, I do like the fact that we are able to be
control
in
our own
charge
destiny.
of our own destiny. Yeah, absolutely. Thank you. You're 100% right. And I think that's where we're going to move forward, because I know it's going to benefit me. I've worked 3 jobs. I grew up working 3 jobs. Everything I have, you could call me entitled. You could call me whatever you want. The reason I have a house in Hiawassee, I worked 3 jobs in order to get it. I put away that money. I did 12 years at Home Depot. I put in money into the stock program. I was smart about it. I had to live with my parents for way too long as, from 18 up. But my dad said, hey, put it away, and taught me those values. And I hope to move those on to my child and other people who want to learn. How do I do this? I'm smart enough to do this, because I don't believe the Democrats when they say, hey, you need us. You need us to show you the way.
But think about it. All those things you did, Rhino, and all the things that, Tug, you were planning on, this is a once every half a century scenario where we are dealing with the same sort of interest rates and the same sort of fuel prices that were going on basically in 1978 to 1980.
Yeah.
And so it stalled everybody. Man, as much as we're gloating, as much as we're having fun with this stuff, what I'm telling my liberal friends is come along for the ride.
Yeah.
All right?
That's the message.
This is
That's
what
the
it's
message.
supposed to be.
But
it's like, I know you hate me, and I know you don't. I know where I get the death threats and the nasty DMs and everything else like that. What I'm telling you is you don't want to come along for this ride, but I'm going to drag you kicking and screaming to prosperity.
I think that's such a wise point. And I'll be honest, I don't think we're gloating that hard this morning. No. We could gloat so much more. I mean, with the landslide that happened,
he kicked her ass.
Yeah, absolutely. Nobody. That's the first time that's been said, and we've been on an hour and 15 minutes.
I wanted 312 electoral votes, and I think it might happen. I mean, that is a butt whooping. This is a landslide victory like we wanted. I know Carlos wanted way over 280, 290.
I said I wanted 300 and the entirety of the popular vote.
And that's where it is. And this is just a good argument to, again, Democrats need to really be careful about the way they acted over the past 3 years, demanding that we pack the Supreme Court. Do you want the Supreme Court packed today?
How about the filibuster?
Do you want the filibuster today?
All of a sudden, I bet they're not as in favor of it as there was maybe yesterday.
I would love to hear Democrats and call in by all means. You're welcome here every single day. We would never group you or call you garbage or call you anything else. We think this is important that all of us get to move forward from this. I don't think we need to have this division anymore. I don't think we need to have somebody calling everybody fascists and Nazis and all those names and reiterating this ridiculous media narrative that they've done. Come along with us, like Carlos said. Kicking, screaming, come for prosperity, come for peace, no more wars. Ukraine, let's go ahead and make peace there. Let's go ahead and get a ceasefire in the Middle East. Let's get Donald Trump back and ready to go to make peace around the world and prosperity for all.
We need it.
There's no reason that we should have had an assassination attempt, let alone two,
goodness,
to make it 3 in the better part of 50 years. Like, these don't happen. This is not supposed to be who we are. We're not supposed to have our politics get to a certain point. Listen, man, there are so many good things you can do. There's plenty of alcohol. There's plenty of cable television. Netflix is awesome. You don't have to try and kill a president. Okay? Like there's all sorts of other things you can be doing.
To occupy yourself. How about volunteer?
Exactly. You know what?
Somebody.
Go to church.
Yes.
There's no reason we should have 3 assassination attempts in the better part of 50 years, and 2 of them are in the last 3 months.
Yeah. It's unreal. I want to go back to what we were talking about with unity, because I think Donald Trump spoke to that last night. And he's exactly right. And it's the message that we want to share this morning on the Morning Extra. I don't have ill will toward Democrats. I don't have ill will toward the people. Now, the message, the policies, I despise. I have nothing but, I have no use for any sort of socialism, communism, any of that. If you're willing to negotiate, if you're willing to talk about the things that matter in this country, then let's find that common ground. Let's find that unity, and that's what Donald Trump talked about.
It's time to put the divisions of the past 4 years behind us. It's time to unite, and we're going to try. We're going to try. We have to try, and it's going to happen. Success will bring us together. I've seen that.
And it's so true, Rhino. Success when the tide rises and all boats lift because of it. Then all of a sudden things aren't as sharp and the elbows aren't as hard and people don't call names because everybody is successful. And I think that's what the working people that came out in droves and voted for Donald Trump want again.
Yeah, look, I don't want to call anybody names, and I try not to. I try to have conversations with certain people.
But it's fun.
But it is fun sometimes, and it is preserved. But I've had so many great conversations with people who listen that are Democrats that were not voting for Donald Trump, that were very confused about why anybody would support him from what they heard from mainstream media. But I think we have those conversations, and I'm excited to kind of move forward with those people, and hopefully they understand, like you said, this is going to be good for all of America at this point. I'm very excited. And I love the fact that there are so many other people involved, like Elon Musk, Tulsi Gabbard, and people who can talk and say, hey, this is the way Democrats feel about certain issues. President Trump, what can we do to make sure that these people are prosperous as well? I really want to get into all the communities and say, hey, there is a better way. Let's build up these small businesses throughout this country. Let's stop punishing corporations and others. Let's stop with the whole fair share thing and figure out a possible way to make sure that everybody is prosperous.
There's an aspect of healing, and I like the way you put that, Rhino, because even when it comes to some of the social issues, if you want to tell me, and I responded to a woman last night who talked to me on Twitter, and she brought up the abortion issue, even though she voted for Donald Trump, but she brought it up. And I told her very simply, I agree with you. I think this should be available. It's not according to my standards. When my wife and I had a scenario where we were told we might not have a viable child, we decided we're going to move forward with this pregnancy. But I think the 1973 standards make sense to me, where the state and the mother both have a combined interest in life. Now, I'll also point out that as we get into the trans issue, I can just simply tell you that I will respect you. Mm-hmm. I will call you what name you want. I will play along with all of this stuff, and I will do it. I'll have a beer with you, and we'll be all friendly. I'm just saying that if you were born a biological man, I just don't want you playing with my girls when it comes to sports
or in their locker room.
That's all. I mean, and these are common sense things of I'm going to give you all the leeway you want, but you got to give me some too.
Yeah.
Because I beat your ass at the ballot box. Beat your ass.
Landslide.
Now let me take that last 30 seconds and say, I'm gonna put that away over here.
Okay. All right.
And I'm just saying, but I'm gonna speak to you, as Dave Chappelle says, like a pimp.
Yeah.
I beat your ass.
Yeah, a little slap.
So listen, you got to give me some ground here.
Oh my God!
I'm talking to you lovingly.
Yeah, no, but I think all that's correct. I think it's so important, and I think that's what you saw, a repudiation of that stuff.
Yeah. Look, I want to thank Dark Brandon too, otherwise known as Joe Biden, because he made this possible
he did
today.
Make it possible.
Boy, did he
27 minutes between saying I'm not going to run, and then 27 minutes later, but Kamala's the one.
Oh.
Let's talk to the talkmaster Neil Bortz. He joins us next on Extra 106.3, Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station. We'll also hit the headlines with Rhino, too. This is a great morning for America, and we're glad that you're here along for the ride on Extra 106.3.
Voters across the nation spoke out that it's time for a change.
Almost a landslide victory for Donald Trump.
The greatest thing that could happen to America.
Count on the conservative voice of Atlanta, Extra 106.3, to bring you the latest updates, unrivaled national and local coverage of the transfer of power and everything that needs to happen next. Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
This holiday season, Southern Exteriors is doing something truly special with their Home for the Holidays roof giveaway. Until the end of the month, November 30th, you have a chance to nominate a deserving family in need of a brand new roof just in time for the holidays. The economy is not going to turn around super quick. We know that. It's like an aircraft carrier. As a guy that was in the Navy, hey, it's Tug. It takes a minute to turn a big old aircraft carrier around. And the world's biggest economy is going to take a minute to turn around, but Donald Trump will be able to get it done. He's proven that before. Southern Exteriors is not waiting until the aircraft carrier turns around. They want to help out a family facing hardship with making sure that they have a solid roof over their heads. If you know a deserving family in need of a new roof, nominate them today by visiting southernexteriors.co. Make sure you get the website right. southernexteriors.co. Nominate a deserving family in need of a new roof, and we're going to select one and replace the roof for them at Southern Exteriors.
Extra 106.3 listeners are falling in love with Nucky's Hoagies in Roswell.
Me and my wife now find our favorite sandwich place. That food over there was great.
Yeah, those rolls are so soft and sweet. I mean, it was just melt in your mouth. It was, and the steak was tender and juicy and flavorful. I can't say enough about it. It was very, very impressive.
It was so good.
Make Nucky's Hoagies in Roswell on Woodstock Road your new favorite spot for lunch or dinner. Nucky'sHoagies.com.
Neil Borch here. Maybe you've already taken the steps to improve your health, maybe save your life. You're using a CPAP for your sleep apnea. I've been using one for well over 20 years. So right now, I'm here to tell you about a source for CPAPs and CPAP supplies here in the Atlanta area. CPAPs, etc. They're in Alpharetta. They have whatever you need. Roddy and Sharon are your CPAP experts, and they'll ship nationwide. More information, CPAPs.com.
Lee Brandt Jewelry and Watch Company, where quality and value make the difference. Locally owned and located in Sandy Springs, offering you the finest selection of unique diamonds, sapphires, rubies, and emerald jewelry, as well as other fine gemstones. Lee Brandt Jewelry and Watches has been servicing Rolex watches for over 30 years, and their Rolex-trained watchmaker will service your watch in their state-of-the-art Rolex service center in their store. Lee Brandt uses only genuine Rolex parts, and their estimates are free. Drop by Lee Brandt in the Trader Joe's Shopping Center in Sandy Springs or visit LeeBrandt.com.
What's up, Atlanta? It's Ben Burnett, host of the Weekend Ben Burnett Show. Each and every weekend, right here on Extra 106.3, we unpack all the week's events. We talk about all the issues with a local Atlanta-based flavor. You can catch me each and every weekend, Saturdays at 2 and Sundays at noon. If you ever miss an episode, you can go to the podcast park or wherever you download all of your content, and I'll be right there. Thanks for listening to the Ben Burnett Show, proudly brought to you by Butler Snow.
Hey, Georgia neighbors, it's time to expect more from your Medicare Advantage. Discover Sonder Health's custom plans tailored just for Georgians. Saunders offers unique benefits, including special plans for those living with chronic conditions. Some plans even come with grocery or gas benefits to support your overall well-being. Sonder Health makes it easy to get the coverage you need. See for yourself what today's Medicare Advantage can do for you. Visit SonderHealthPlans.com, a healthier state of life. Sonder Health Plans is an HMO and PPO with Medicare contracts. Enrollment in Sonder Health Plans depends on contract renewal.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines. Presented by RBM of Atlanta, your Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your top stories in the state of Georgia for today, Wednesday, November 6th. President Donald Trump is projected to win the state of Georgia and the 2024 presidential election over Vice President Kamala Harris. Donald Trump has flipped the state of Georgia red, securing 50.8% of the vote and claiming the state's 16 electoral votes. Trump also appears poised to win the national popular vote, marking the first time in over 20 years that a Republican candidate has achieved this feat. Fulton County DA Fonnie Willis, who brought charges against President Donald Trump, has won her bid for re-election. Willis defeated Republican opponent Courtney Kramer, securing 68% of the vote in the race for Fulton County District Attorney. And Georgia voters have re-elected all incumbents in the U.S. House of Representatives, and newcomer Brian Jack has won his election bid. Republican incumbents Marjorie Taylor Greene, Buddy Carter, Andrew Clyde, Mike Collins, Austin Scott, Barry Loudermilk, and Rick Allen will all return to Capitol Hill. On the Democratic side, Nikema Williams, Sanford Bishop, Hank Johnson, Lucy McBath, and David Scott will also reclaim their seats in the House. With your headlines, Scott Rhino, Trump 106.3.
Tug Rhino and Los on Extra 106.3. He called in last night, big part of the evening show when we did our election coverage wall to wall. It was an unbelievable evening. So many people involved, so many voices, and we were delighted that Neil Bortz was one of them. And he even told me that he was coming back early this morning. And sure enough, by golly, got himself up early. Neil Bortz, welcome. Yeah!
Y'all are the only reason I'm up.
Well, look, that makes me feel nice. It puts a smile on my face.
Aw. I'm sure it does.
Yeah. Did the Baileys get finished off, or was it just a little bit of Baileys?
I
put that thing down.
I did what I said I was going to do. I went to sleep as soon as I finished talking to y'all because I knew there was going to be nothing for a while. And I woke up again at 2 o'clock. I think I woke up just minutes before the
Oh,
okay. Went up 270.
Maybe let's see if we can try to.
The Bortz robot.
That's right,
but,
man.
but that was the deal. It's like we were all in probably the same boat. I think when we talked to Neil yesterday, I think that was right around like 8:30, 8:45 in the program. And there was legitimately nothing outside of North Carolina being called at maybe like 10:45,
Yeah.
And then we didn't get anything for like 2 more hours.
That's right, yeah.
Where it was like in a stall pattern.
Yeah, it was, and it was so funny because I kept getting messages from friends and family, and they're
What's
like,
happening in
"What's
Georgia?"
right?" Exactly, that's it. And I was like, "Please settle down. Neil is back. Neil, finish up." So you had the Baileys with us where we were.
I stayed awake through Trump's speech and then went to sleep again. But, typically, Kamala Harris has not made a speech. Oh, y'all go home. We got to count all the votes. So sometime today, I hope we have a repeat of that episode with Hillary Clinton 8 years ago, whenever it was. Just how horrible she looked and that frown on her face. Hey, first of all, you gave me some good news this morning, and that is that Hank Johnson's been reelected. We need him for
comedy relief,
laughs every comedy relief every once in a while.
But Neil, here was the important part about it. His prediction finally came true. Guam finally flipped.
That's good. Oh, that's good. The absolute big surprise to me this morning is the Latino vote. I mean, that comedian was supposed to have trashed the Latino vote, but in Osceola County in Florida, which was massively in favor of Joe Biden in the next election, I mean, that must have flipped by 25 or 30 points all along the Texas border. And this shouldn't be a surprise, but along the Texas border, counties that voted for Biden in the last election overwhelmingly flipped to Donald Trump. That's not a Latino thing. That is the Texas border residents sick and tired of the immigration, the state of Texas, insofar as the Latino vote is concerned. Donald Trump took the majority of the Latino vote. That's a surprise. Down here in Florida, both the cannabis and the abortion amendments to the Constitution failed because it takes 60% of the vote down here to pass them. Can we please get into an election cycle where voters absolutely understand the concept of contraception and can turn this abortion thing loose for a while?
Well, you know what, though, Neil? First of all, I'm going to let Carlos speak on the Hispanic vote because I know he's going to want to return to that, but we told you so. The other thing is the abortion. One of the things, though, there are a lot of states that decide that, killing babies is cool and good, and they're going to continue to do that. That's the importance of what happened when Donald Trump said, hey, we're going to return this to the states. There were many states, including New York and others, that strengthened their right to abortion, and they continue to do it. That's the important lesson I think people need to understand about why we're a republic and why we're separated as states, and you can make your own decisions.
Well, that is not taught in government schools.
No, of course.
No, in no government school that I've ever heard of will you ever hear a civics teacher, those schools that you still teach civics, say, well, the way this country was founded is the states were it's supposed to be a federation of 50 different mini countries, if you will, banded together in one federation where the federal government handles a very small part of the affairs of the people, but important. For instance, laws affecting interstate commerce, laws affecting the defense of our country from foreign enemies. But it's supposed to be up to the states, but no school is going to teach that. No government school is going to teach that. So it's time. What does Los have to say about the Hispanic vote?
Well, first off, the original gangster, the OG, Neil Bortz, joins us on the Morning Extra. And I will tell you this, Neil, You spent time in Texas. I'm a Texan. We're Texans. I've said this for months leading up to this, that the biggest issue that the Democrats are messing up on, the people that hate illegal immigration the most in Texas are Hispanic Americans. They cannot stand it. Now, what I didn't expect was to see young African American men who they've seen these benefits and they've seen, the government bending over backwards for these people and taking their jobs. I didn't expect to see them going for the numbers of Donald Trump. Those are two areas where I don't believe the Democrats ever thought to themselves, we're going to lose this demographic based on illegal immigration.
Well, is it possible that young black voters started to think, I am not a pawn in their political game.
Yes, sir.
I am a free American, allowed to set my own path, to create my own image and future in this country. They need to stop relying or, depending on me or taking me for granted. I think there's a lot of an element for that in there, too.
Yeah, there's no doubt. And I do believe that, Neil, people just want the opportunity to do well. They believe in themselves. I think most people believe in their ability, and they want to put their ability up against somebody else. It's no different than sports. If you play ball, you want to go out on the field to show you're the best. I think most Americans have that feeling in life. They want to get out there and they want to get their hands dirty and create something, build something, be something. And America provides that. And it's less about give me something and more about give me opportunity.
And they want merit to count.
That's correct.
Yeah. Neil, I got a question.
Under the Democrat DEI dream, merit is meaningless. It's all your group identity that to Democrats decides where you will go in life. Well, hey, I work harder than some people. I've studied harder than some people. Why don't I get some sort of an advantage out of my extra efforts? I've shown some merit. No, that doesn't count. What counts is your color. What counts is your gender, one of 42 different genders. And we will include you in this, that, and the other thing, regardless of your merit. I think a lot of people who believe in themselves get tired of that message after a while.
Yeah, I think a lot of people now understand, and I think a lot of people did understand before. They just kind of fell into that trap. I got a question from a listener for you, and they really want to know.
Oh, boy.
Philip Wright, he said, were you playing devil's advocate? You really had him worried with some of the things you were saying. He wanted to know, were you playing devil's advocate?
He was just messing with you, Philip.
No. I when I said that I don't like what Donald Trump is, but I like what he does, I meant that. And I think that there are millions of people in this country that feel the same way. I think in many ways he could have turned this into a true landslide if he had left the personal invective out and concentrated more on policy and his vision for the future of America. Thank God the voters saw through his hyperbole and his bombast and looked at what he may be able to accomplish and what he did accomplish in his first 4 years. But no, I wasn't playing devil's advocate. I've never. Well, I'm not going to say never. I have done that on the air a few times, but it was pretty rare. I wanted people to believe that I was being honest with them. And going into yesterday, I was absolutely. And y'all may have been the same way. I was uncertain that who was going to win this thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think everybody.
I knew who should.
We knew who should.
I'm telling you, the moment, Neil, where I felt really good was when I saw Miami-Dade County and then Duval County. And so when you joined us yesterday, talking about those areas that are typically Democrat, to see them flip over and vote red in the way they did, it
was the bellwether.
But it doesn't get said enough. Ron DeSantis has had a part in this thing.
Oh,
and so
sure
it's really a collaboration of when you talk about this Super Friends team of expanding this tent. Neil, I look at it and I think that there was a lot of people that felt more than comfortable not only voting for Donald Trump, but saying, hey, I want to vote for Tulsi Gabbard or RFK Jr. in my own way.
Well, Remember the Cuban influence down there in Miami-Dade, though. And I saw, I don't know why, somebody slapped me. I was watching CNN this morning. I guess I was hoping to see somebody cry. But Marco Rubio was on there for a good 10, 12, 15 minutes. What an amazing job that he did on CNN this morning. Don and I are privileged to know Marco Rubio.
Oh, wow.
I remember one time early on, he was a guest on my radio show when it was coming from my studio in my condo here in Naples. And after it was over, we all sat down and had a chat in the living room, and he looked around our place and he said, "Wow, this is the kind of place I dream of living in." And Donna looked at him and said, "Oh, you're going to live in a much better house than this." So I've always been an admirer. Have you ever watched his farewell speech to the Florida State Senate?
I've not.
No.
Google that sometime.
Okay.
Yeah, but he is smooth.
Marco Rubio farewell speech to the Georgia State Senate when he left to run for the U.S. Senate. It is one of the absolute best political speeches, I dare say, that you will ever hear. And he created instant fans in the Queen and I. So I hope for good things. I hope for good things for him.
What do you expect out of the next 4 years from Donald Trump?
Well, it's the next 2 years and then the next 2 years.
Sure.
Very much so.
Whatever he's going, much of what he's going to accomplish, he'd better get done in the next 2 years, because the Democrats will come back with fire in their eyes. And I'm going to go back to Admiral Yamamoto after the bombing of Pearl Harbor. And some Democrats, a Democrat leader or somebody, a Republican leader needs to look at his flock and say, "I fear we have awakened a terrible giant and filled him with a horrible resolve," or something of that nature. The Democrat Party's been awakened. They know what they've been doing wrong now. It's not about transgender rights. It's not about the elite. It's not about DEI. It's about addressing the needs of the American people who want their life to be better, who want the prices to go down, who want to be able to fill their car up without putting a lien on it. They need to address this, and they're going to have blood in their eyes when the midterm elections come around. So you've got the Senate for 2 years. Do whatever you can get away with.
Neil, let me ask you.
Start with shutting the border down.
Let me ask you this, and since you like keeping, secrets from us, did you talk to Donald Trump last night, and how do we look on the fair tax? But in reality, do you think...
I did not talk to Donald Trump.
The red phone didn't ring, and it's like, it's me, it's Donald.
But what do you want to see him do first? Like, when he comes in January, what do you want to see? The number one issue to fix this country, and I agree, we can't play any games, no more of the, hey, now we're going to go after Biden and Hunter and any of that. Let's get to work. What's the one thing, more than anything, you want to see him start with?
The one thing, more than anything, seriously, is enforce our immigration laws. Shut the border. Marco Rubio pointed out this morning that we admit and give green cards to about 1 million people a year in this country, which is more than almost any other country does. That's fine. We need workers. We need to be a refuge for people that are fleeing violence and monsters like Maduro in Venezuela. But this bit about just wading across, I hear for asylum. Okay, here's your court date in 2029. Have fun. Be sure to show up.
Last thing, Talkmaster.
That has to stop.
Do you really believe, after 8 years of Barack Obama and the trajectory that he led the Democrats, do you really think that they can actually center themselves and become more of that party that represents more of the mainstream of America versus what they are right now?
It's going to go against so many of their deeply held beliefs. It's going to be tough. Bernie Sanders and his people are already saying, "Oh no, we need to become much more progressive. We need to
exactly
yeah."
Good luck with that.
They're going to have to ignore him, but you know, how much longer can he last anyway?
Yeah. Well,
And
look,
so
he's going to hang on.
By the way, non-politically, can I inject this here?
Yes, sir.
One of my all-time heroes is Bernie Marcus.
Yeah, absolutely.
And,
R.I.P.
We were guests in his home one time over in Boca. I remember, I got to tell you this story. It was quite a while ago, and he said, "Neil, I want you to look at this fancy toilet of mine." And he showed me the first fanny washing toilet I had ever seen.
The bidet. Look at there.
So I said, "Hey, that's great. Is it okay in the middle of the night if I come in here and use that?" He said, "You better not."
Yeah, love
Do you know he gave away over $2.7 billion?
And he's one of the people who has sworn to, "I'm going to give away the rest of my wealth in order to benefit humanity." Pretty
a fine
impressive.
man, no doubt.
Neil, that would take me all of 15 minutes.
No doubt.
2 minutes for me, sir.
I'd like to give it a good old college effort. I'm just saying. But Neil, thank you.
Time for one more anecdote?
Yes, of course we do.
The reason I was in his, I was being invited to go over to Boca and make a speech to, I think, the Marcus Foundation, actually. I forget. And as I was sitting there at the dinner before my speech, I was making notes on a piece of paper. And I'm sitting right next to Bernie. And before the speech, he looks at that piece of paper and he grabs it. "What is this?" he says. He turns it over. It's a Lowe's receipt.
Talk about shooting yourself in the foot. What are you doing?
Yeah, no kidding.
Oh, Neil
I'll never
Boards.
forget that. Rest in peace, Bernie Marcus.
Yes, sir. God bless you, Neil. Thank you so much for taking the time with us last night and today.
Thanks. Going back to bed.
Yes, sir.
Go for it. We'll be right behind you.
As quickly as we possibly can. This is Extra 106.3.
Hey, guys.
Yes.
Have you thought about how a lowly fry cook is now the president?
Yeah.
That's right. I haven't, but we should discuss all of that next on Extra 106.3.
President Donald Trump is once again set to take office.
This was a movement like nobody's ever seen before. There's never been anything like this in this country and maybe beyond.
And Extra 106.3 is here to keep Atlanta informed and connected as things change in D.C. Proud to march on as the conservative voice of Atlanta. Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
I need to tell you that, yes, the winter is coming. Fall is already in full swing. We already changed back the time, and it's going to get dark super early, and that means the cold weather's on its way. So Central Heating and Air Conditioning wants to keep you warm all fall, all winter long until we get back to that glorious spring and a hot Georgia summer that I love so much. Their carrier systems are designed to keep you comfortable. No matter if it's cold or hot outside, they have advanced heating and cooling technology that it will refresh your home no matter what the temperature outside is. And right now you can save up to $2,000 off a new carrier system. That's right, $2,000 off to ensure that you stay comfortable all fall, all winter long. Now, if you've got an older system, they can come out and maintain it so it lasts as long as you can because, look, HVAC is expensive. Everybody knows that. Nobody's trying to hide that. But you can save $2,000 off a new one if you need it. But if you can get yours to hold on for a little longer, why wouldn't you do that? Maintenance agreement will do that. They come out twice a year and make sure they do the maintenance prior to the summer and prior to the winter. Otherwise, if you've got a system that's kind of on the fritz, it doesn't matter the brand. It doesn't have to be carrier. They work on all the different brands at Central Heating and Air Conditioning, one of the few second-generation locally owned HVAC companies in Atlanta. Call Chuck and his team today for whatever service you need for your HVAC. They share your values. And on today, there may not be a more important reason to do business with someone. If you need their help, 770-GET-HEAT or go to centralheat.com.
Join Braves Vacations for some exciting road trips to historic cities and ballparks during the 2025 season. Fans can enjoy 3 games at Fenway Park in Boston to watch the Braves take on the Red Sox, May 15th through the 19th. Or head to Wrigley Field for 3 games against the Chicago Cubs, August 31st through September 3rd. Road trip packages include deluxe hotel accommodations, game tickets, exclusive events with Braves team personnel, unique excursions, select meals, optional airfare, and more. Visit Braves.com/vacation to learn more.
Insurance companies know that you don't know a lot about the law. So maybe it would be better just to let your lawyer make the call to the insurance company when there's a problem. David Van Sant should be that lawyer. He used to work for the insurance company. He knows who to call, what to say, and he has your best interest at heart. Plus, if you don't get paid, either does he. Van Sant Law, 855-GA-INJURY or vansantlaw.com.
Georgia, it's time to make our voices heard. The Georgia Republican Party is committed to protecting our families, our freedoms, and our way of life. In the upcoming 2024-25 elections, we're dedicated to informing, educating, attracting, and inviting all Georgians to vote Republican at every level, state, local, and federal. Your support is crucial. Donations of any size are welcomed and appreciated. Visit gagop.org to donate today, and together let's make Georgia's future friendly and prosperous for everyone in Georgia. gagop.org.
Millions of guys suffer from erectile dysfunction. That's 1 in 4 men. And I can tell you, I'm one of them.
If you or someone you know suffer from ED, Peyronie's disease, or PE, here's 38-year emergency room doctor and founder of Total Body Therapy of Georgia, Dr. Eric Deal.
Patients who enter my office are often frustrated, hopeless, depressed, and embarrassed. I understand the problem, and I'm going to help you fix it. There are lots of competitors that don't have the credentials that I have. When you go to other clinics, you're not going to see a board-certified physician with the experience that I have. When you come to our clinic, you're going to see me. There's just not one therapy that can solve these complex issues. I'll do a complete history and physical prior to any treatment that we use. Take it from me, Dr. Deal. When it's not hard, it's really hard.
Call Dr. Deal for your free one-on-one evaluation and resolve your ED, Peyronie's, or PE issues. Total Body Therapy of Georgia, 404-777-1911, 404-777-1911. Online at stopmyed.com.
Wherever you are in Georgia, you can stream Xtra 106.3 in crystal clear digital with the all-new Xtra 106.3 app. Get Xtra's live on-air stream in real time, or go back and listen to all your favorite shows, Neil Bortz, or original podcasts, no matter where you go. Grab the Xtra 106.3 app now and start streaming.
Tug, Rhino, and Los on the Morning Xtra. Shane is in Swanee. Shane, what's on your mind?
Hey, good morning, gentlemen. I just wanted to take a minute. I know, like Lo said, today is the day to kind of gloat, celebrate, and enjoy. But if history was to be our guide, going forward, remember what they did in 2016 after he was elected. They tried to stop them from, making the delegates official. So I was just wondering if you think what they're going to try between tomorrow or today and Election Day on certifying this election.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Good question, Shane.
That's a great question.
We've talked about that quite a bit. The only reason why I don't think, because I've said this is going to be a 12-round bout, and we're right now in round 6. The only reason why I don't think they're going to do it is because of that popular vote, Rhino. The numbers are overwhelming right now.
Yeah, they don't really have an argument in any case whatsoever. I think what Kamala Harris is going to do is the right thing. She knows she lost. I think she is going to give a concession speech. I expect it not to be as divisive as she was doing during the campaign. I think she'll go and say, hopefully we'll move in this direction and everybody will be protected.
Luis is in Decula. Luis, what's on your mind?
Buenos días, amigos. Buenos días.
Buenos dias. Buenos dias.
It's a good day today. Look, I work with a predominantly minority-owned company. I run a logistics department. I got 100 employees underneath me. I got the largest department. Most of my drivers come from socialist countries, Cuba, Venezuela, places that are torn apart by corrupt politicians. They saw the writing on the wall. The majority of my guys voted for Trump, okay? This was not something that caught me by surprise. I was actually impressed at the turnout. I'm proud of what we all done, what you guys were able to do. Thank you for being the voice of us as well. And as a proud dad of 2 boys that were from Puerto Rico, they also voted for Trump as well.
God bless them.
There's a day of reckoning today for all the liberals, and I'm just laughing at all the comments on every board and every social media. It's 2016 all over again, and I love it. And yesterday is the day for gloating. Thank you.
How
guys.
about that, Luis? Thank you.
I'll
God
tell
bless you, brother.
Luis, and this is where I love the fact you bring up, hey, I head up a group of 100. I've got drivers. Here's where they're from, and they've experienced this. I don't think that I was radicalized to this level until in 2020 you told me that I was important, but my friend wasn't.
Yeah.
All the stuff that went on as we moved through 2020, 2021, and everything of the COVID era of deciding what Americans were of value and what we're not, that's the part that went, all right, you gave me a small taste of what happens in some of the countries that you're talking about your drivers are from, and I didn't want any part of it.
I found it was just invigorating last night being at the Grand Hyatt and seeing so many people that had been to Kamala Harris rallies and came over here to see what was going on, and they were really excited about making the switch over. And one of the things I heard from someone who said, I was a Kamala supporter up until about 4 or 5 weeks ago when I went to the rally, and they play it out as all joy, and it was when they had the concert. But as soon as she came on stage, you could feel the animosity towards Republicans and Donald Trump start right then and there throughout the entire audience. When I went to the Trump rally and he went to the one in Duluth, he told me, he goes, I was welcomed, it was fun, and it was joy.
Stephanie's incoming. Quickly, Stephanie, what's on your mind?
Good morning, guys. I'm going to bring out my degrees here for a minute and just say that I think what this election really shows me is that I think we all know we're one of the only countries in the world that's not bound by ethnicity, but we're bound by an ideal that's based in a monotheistic morality, belief in personal responsibility with a higher power. But the Obama era, which we're in, has been based on this collective parental government as God. So I think this election was really a repudiation of that, of government as religion, and it's
absolutely
making a return to that sovereign civil religion, that America is a sacred ideal, and its people are bound together by that ideal and not by government as a god, but we're bound together as people who have a shared ideal and common belief. And
there we go.
Yeah.
Stephanie, absolutely right.
She doesn't sound like a dumb, weak woman at all.
Not at all. And we have another very intelligent woman joining us next, Angela Morabito, right after the Fox News update here on Extra 106.3, 404-741-1230. Love to have the rest of your calls all throughout the morning. Today is your day. 7 o'clock hour is brought to you by Van Sant Law. If you're in an accident, make the right call. VanSantLaw.com.
Time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Extra 106.3.
There must be something lucky about the Bortz bus. Donna and I were in Bortz bus number 3 when Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton. That look on Hillary Clinton's face the next morning when she made her concession speech was priceless. Thus far, we've been denied the joy of seeing Kamala Harris's face. She decided she was not going to make a speech last night. She'll talk sometime today, maybe even give us a cackle or two. Her campaign says we have to wait until all the votes are counted. I have been treated this morning to some pictures of Harris supporters crying, wailing, crying, screaming. I have to be an evil dude because I find that so very entertaining. In other good news, the Republicans will have control of the Senate by 1 vote. Control of the House of Representatives is still up for grabs. And I suppose many extra listeners are still furious with me because of the things that I said about Donald Trump. I still mean him. I don't like what he is, but I like what he does. And I'm sure I'm going to like what he does the first few days of the presidency, including shutting down the border. Maybe he can find some other ways to make sanctuary cities feel the pain of their idiocy. But at least we're safe from Kamala's horrible plans. Increase the corporate tax. What a fraud. Anti-price gouging laws, thereby displaying her ignorance of basic economics. and the weakness that she would portray to the rest of the world. So let's enjoy the liberal meltdown for a day or two, might even watch The View, but can we all get together and try to put this country on a better path after the gloating is over? Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
Tune into your new favorite show that's redefining the A to Z's of marketing, The Marketing Madmen. We'll take you behind the scenes of successful campaigns and reveal the strategies that win. We're not just talking about marketing, we're making it happen. From viral content creation to leveraging AI for customer engagement, our experts bring you to the cutting edge of industry. This is your playbook for market dominance. Tune in and transform your approach with actionable tips that could skyrocket your ROI. The Marketing Madmen every Saturday at 4 p.m. right here on Extra 106.3.
Modular and offsite construction is booming. If you're an architect, building engineer, supplier, developer, or contractor, you can't miss the Offsite Construction Summit, coming to the International Convention Center in Atlanta on November 20th. With the rising cost of traditional building, modular and offsite construction is changing the way companies build. It's quicker, cheaper, and offers a faster ROI. So don't miss the Offsite Construction Summit, coming to Atlanta on November 20th. Register today at offsiteconstructionnetwork.com. That's offsiteconstructionnetwork.com.
Hey, Atlanta, it's Mark from the Safe House. And now the security riddle of the day. When times get tough, where do you keep your stuff? Answer, in a quality safe from the Safe House, of course. Don't go to a big box store and get a fake safe. That would be as effective as Joe Biden's fake border policy. For over 30 years, the Safe House has been providing the best quality safes on the market. Brands like Browning, Fort Knox, and Champion. And with the largest selection of safes on display in Georgia, we're confident we can help you pick the right safe to fit your needs. So drop by our huge showroom or go to atlantasafehouse.com.
WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey Broadcasting Station. The 8 a.m. hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air.
This is a Fox News alert. Our 45th president will be our 47th. I'm Dave Anthony. That's what Trump supporters chanted, celebrating his election victory.
I want to just tell you what a great honor this is. I want to thank you. I will not let you down.
The former president in West Palm Beach, Florida, at about 2:30 this morning.
America's future will be bigger, better, bolder, richer, safer, and stronger than it has ever been before.
Fox News projects that former President Trump will have 277 electoral votes, more than enough to defeat Vice President Harris, who has not spoken yet. And he leads in 4 states not called yet: Alaska, Arizona, Michigan, and Nevada. The president-elect also won other toss-up states.
In Georgia, Harris was actually down by 8 points from Biden's level back in 2020. The economy is still number one issue for voters across the country, and the president, as in Trump, was seen as the one who had the best chance to make it better for everybody.
That's Fox's Kevin Cork. Fox News voter analysis also shows while Vice President Harris had an 8-point lead among women voters, there was a 10-point Trump edge for men. More voters over the age of 45 went for Trump. And the president-elect had a big advantage among voters without a college degree. And he also had more support among black voters than in the past, up to 15%. Republicans also won control of the Senate in the next Congress, unseating Democrats in Ohio and West Virginia. They lead in 3 other races, including Pennsylvania, where Fox's Jeff Manasso reports.
Republican Dave McCormick here in Pittsburgh telling a joyful crowd that he feels good about where his campaign is at a battle against incumbent Democrat Bob Casey.
And we'll look back on this day today and we'll say that was the day that we turned the corner. That was the day that we had new leadership in Pennsylvania. That was the day that we got our country back on track.
Republicans may also keep the majority in the House. They have 1 more seat so far than Democrats. America's listening to Fox News.
The Tunnel to Towers Foundation welcomed U.S. Army Specialist Brent Menard into a new mortgage-free smart home in Florida. Now, while on a road clearance mission in Afghanistan, Brent's vehicle was blown up by an improvised explosive device. Brent became a T4 paraplegic. Tunnel to Towers built him a specially adapted smart home that allows severely injured heroes like Brett to live more independently. We hope you'll donate $11 a month so this great work can continue. Just go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Have you thought about the causes the brands you support stand behind? Well, Pure Talk supports our veterans. They've relieved $10 million in veteran debt, donated tens of thousands monthly to prevent veteran suicide, and donated $50,000 to Mike Rowe Works, helping to provide scholarships to veterans after active duty. It's time to jump ship from Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. Dial pound 250 and say keyword Pure Talk to save an additional 50% off your first month. Dial pound 250 and say Pure Talk.
Start your mornings the right way with Tug, Rhino, and Los on the Morning Extra. Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station is Extra 106.3.
So proud to have so many strong, intelligent women in my life. My mother, my wife, so many of my sister-in-laws.
One of them couldn't vote.
My mama was not allowed to vote. And she was so upset by it. They didn't let her vote.
Oh, no.
Yeah, they told her that her registration was still in Dalton, Georgia, even though she's lived in Loganville for 2 years. That her license is all.
I'm sorry.
No, that's so ugly. That's ugly for an office low.
I know.
Mom was upset this morning.
I'm sorry, Mama.
No, you know what? After this landslide victory, I think she's probably okay
She's
with
okay?
it. Yeah, I think so. I've not had a chance to talk to her.
What did I say yesterday? I even put it in our headlines. I want you to go to the Secretary of State's office. Make sure your precinct is correct. Make sure your status is correct. You know what? I love Mama. I love,
Mama has a hard time with technology. It wasn't a chance.
Well, then I
Mama
blame
was gonna
you.
figure that out. Well, look,
What a horrible son you
That's right.
are.
It's partially my fault for sure. Absolutely right. But you know what? It turns out well. We have another strong, intelligent woman with us this morning, visiting fellow at the Independent Women's Forum, also spokesperson for the Department of Education under Betsy DeVos and under Donald Trump. Angela Morabito joins us this morning. How are you, ma'am?
I'm doing great. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Well, Los, it was Los. I'll tell you.
I tried last night. I was reaching out to everyone. We have a sewing circle, okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like there's us. There's us unkept nasty boys in this show, and then we were reaching out. Like we obviously we had Janelle and Kelvin yesterday, and then obviously had Kimmer and Bort, and then I started going, all right, who has helped build this thing over the last several years? And I was like, I got to reach out to Angela.
Yeah,
like she's one of the people that we need to have on. So I'm sending her a message at 12:45 last night. Hey, you gonna come on? Not a response. You sent her a text at 8 a.m. She's like, I'll be there.
Yes, well, it's just about the timing.
Bat signal.
It's just about the timing of the messaging, I'm pretty sure. But
exactly.
So when you saw everything developing last night, at what point did you go, this is gonna be a good evening?
It was the first time I saw the map of the Eastern time zone counties. It was the direction map of, are you more Republican or are you more Democrat? And that map is a red wave. That right there, to me, spells the end of the polling industry as we know it. I'm sure we'll always have polls like in the future, and we should, but not the ones we had this time that said super close race when it absolutely was not.
Let me ask you this, though, because we fall into the trap of looking at polls, listening to mainstream media, watching us. Oh, we're doing so great here, and we won. We're going to win Iowa, and we heard it all from Democrats. Did you fall into any of those, or back of your mind, did you go, I have a feeling, and I know that this is going to turn out a lot different than the mainstream media is?
You bring up something so interesting here, which is if you watch the mainstream news, your perspective of this country is so different from if you just go outside and talk to people. If you are standing in the grocery store and you see people walking in wearing Trump shirts that you probably didn't see 4 years ago, you definitely didn't see 8 years ago. It was not that long ago that there was a huge social penalty to openly being a Trump supporter. When I worked in the administration, I had a coworker ask me once, well, okay, everybody, what's your Uber job? Because your Uber driver is going to ask you where you work. And if you say you work for Trump, in D.C., you are putting your personal safety on the line. The vibes now versus the energy then are so different. It is okay and celebrated to be a loud and proud Trump fan. Finally.
I think Kim Peterson, the Kimmer, really tapped into it last night, and I had to give him a lot of love for it. After the assassination attempt in Pennsylvania and the reaction to it, and then to go along with the McDonald's appearance and hey, I'm going to sit in a garbage truck and we'll joke around about my people being garbage. It really turned it into this counterculture reference to say, I'm with that guy. Like, he's the one, and that hasn't happened for the better part of. He's not new to this, Angela, yet it's taken till 2024 to be okay to say, I voted for that guy.
I was so thrilled with the direction his campaign took actually after the assassination attempt, because I think the reaction that so many people would have after there's an attempt on your life and you're grazed by a bullet would be to lock down, incredibly serious, incredibly controlled. Instead, just like you mentioned, he's slinging French fries. He's showing up in a garbage truck. He is having the most fun on a campaign I think I've ever seen.
He's going to a roast and making fun of him. Well, as he says, I'm supposed to make fun of myself, but I'm not going to make that fun of myself. I mean, like, there was a lightheartedness to what he was doing.
Right. Yes, he's showing up on podcasts. He's talking about his family and his son Barron, and he's talking about things that matter to everyday people. When he sat down with Theo Vaughn and talked about addiction and how addiction has touched his family.
It was so impressive.
That was a watershed moment. And meanwhile, you've got Kamala who's talking about joy. And I think she thought it was like a Beetlejuice type situation where she just like said joy enough times, like joy would arrive. And the joy never did for her. The joy is on Trump's side. The joy is on believing in a better future for America. So I think maybe the pollsters are surprised, but they're probably the only people shocked by this.
Angela Morabito is our guest, a visiting fellow from the Independent Women's Forum. When I see what Kamala went to bat with, she rested everything on abortion.
Mm-hmm.
That was the only thing that she thought could, other than the name calling. You know, it's usually Trump that were getting in trouble for name calling, but that's what she did. That was the only thing she had, that and abortion. I sat down with my own wife and I said, is that the only thing that women care about? And she was like, of course not. Of course not. That's where Kamala fell so short. She acted like women only cared about one thing. And they do care about their children. They do care about their future. They do care about being able to afford things and to take their kids on vacation and to maybe send them to a better school or help them pay for college. And Kamala was so blinded to that. Why?
She was. I think she identified one thing that would try, or at least in theory, help her with young women. And she tried to build a campaign around that instead of realizing as a woman herself that women care about more than one thing, that women care about a lot of things. I saw a tweet that said, something to the effect of, surprise, surprise, that women in America shop for groceries more often than they have abortions. It is just ridiculous that she, as a woman, would pretend that women are so narrowly focused on one thing and ignore the rest of reality.
What is the biggest surprise to you when it came to the women that were coming out? My biggest surprise, obviously, was District of Columbia with 0% reporting that it was already won by Harris. But the reality of what women did, and I think it started with Glenn Youngkin. I think it started in that state where parents stood up and G. Von Fleet, who's amazing, getting into Loudoun County and saying, hey, enough's enough. We want control of education. We want control of what our children are learning. Is that the biggest surprise, or do you think that was the momentum swinger for women?
I think it's an incredible amount of momentum behind that issue, because the bell rang in 2020 when moms and dads, but mostly moms demographically, saw what was going on in their kids' school, because all of a sudden school's happening at the kitchen table. The left would very much like to unring that bell and pretend like schools are great, just keep throwing us more money, everything's going to be fine and dandy. But they can't. Like, no one really anymore is under the delusion that they can put their kid on a bus to any public school, pick a school, any school, and things will be great. People know that's just not true, and they're horrified by it, because we all know that America's kids deserve so much better.
Angela Morabito, she's a rock star. We had to get her on day after the election, joins us right here on the Morning Extra. And I want to bring up two words, because I'm not sure which one that Kamala Harris messed up more with. There's the empathy factor where, as I'm a daughter, I'm a wife, I'm a spouse, I know how to share some of the issues that are going on in the economy and why this is problematic. But I think authenticity was also another issue, that she just could not show who she actually was. And if she did, she was afraid to have that reflect poorly on her. I think that when it came right down to it, it's like, which one was the bigger hindrance, empathy or authenticity?
Oh my gosh. Am I taking a total cop-out if I say that they're one and the same and that people want authentic empathy? And
That's fine. You can ride the fence. It's only a radio show. We give opinions here. No, but still, I think it's a factor. Both of them are.
So I think authenticity was her first problem. One of the MSNBC talking heads was saying, well, the problem with her campaign was she just didn't have long enough to introduce herself to America.
Heard Dana Bash say the same thing. And all I said was, if this campaign was 1 month alone, she probably would have been better off because she would have rode the wave of all the 96% of positive stories.
Exactly. She had the entire mainstream leftist media on her side, and it was not enough. And the idea that she just needed more time, to me, is absurd, because the more people heard her talk, the less they liked her. When people knew the least about Kamala Harris was when she was performing the best poll-wise.
In the polling, yeah. That's exactly right.
She had no brand of her own, which is why she had to borrow it from a pop album. She was like, I'm Kamala Harris and it's Brat Summer. And we're all like, what does that mean?
I was like, who is this Brat Summer? How old am I right now?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I felt very old too, because I'm like, what even is Brat Summer?
Okay, the 22-year-old behind the glasses laughing his butt off. He's like, of course I know
Charlie XCX.
There you go.
The artist.
It was a killer album. It was an absolute banger album. No disrespect to Charlie XCX and her bops.
Yeah, no, banger. Yeah, she's terrific.
Not a great campaign strategy.
No, it's not. Angela, I want to talk to you about the ads that I saw from Kamala Harris, going back to the way that she pigeonholed women. Yeah. The ads that stood out to me the most were the ones where it said, lie to your husband, go vote for who you want to vote for. As if men, like, I would never tell my wife who you need to vote for. We typically talk through these things, and look, there's going to be things that we agree with each other on and disagree with each other on. But there would never be a point where she would be like, I can't tell Doug who I'm voting for. Dude, that's the silliest ad campaign that I've
feed me for a week.
As if she doesn't, have a career and do things that benefit our family just as much as I do. Telling women to lie to their husbands was the dumbest campaign strategy that I've ever seen.
It is bizarro world, and that ad really made me think, right? Of, is it the shy female Kamala voter, or is it the inverse? Is it the shy male Trump voter? So I put a poll up on my Twitter, and granted, there's selection bias. This is by no means scientific. But I said, okay, everybody, who do you think there are more of? Do you think there are more husbands hiding their Trump votes or wives hiding their Kamala votes? I thought this would be close. It was not. It was a 70-30 split.
Yeah.
Of there are more husbands who are afraid. I mean, there are videos coming out now of this woman in New York who's on her cell phone screaming.
Oh, she loses her mind at her boyfriend.
Because he dared to have a different opinion from her. I also think the left kind of told on themselves with that ad, right? Of like, if their image of women and their image of marriage is that two people aren't having open and honest conversations with each other, it's... How do you think the everyday American functions?
Or I'll tell you this, like my wife and I both vote differently. There is no animosity about it.
Right.
So why do you have to hide it?
Yeah, I would be fine with it as well, and I have no problem with that. I mean, I think I'd have a conversation about it, but I think it is and I've talked to so many Democrat men who really for a long time would sit and vilify Trump and then started to really listen and look into and say, hey, don't tell my girlfriend. And I know Tug's a little bit different, but, he withholds the vacuum and says, Laura, you're not going to get that if you don't do my bidding, but that's okay.
Oh.
But the reality is,
you don't get to touch this piece of hardware.
I think it really does show how Republican men respect women more than the Democrats really do. I mean, they sit and they talk about being the party of women, but then they put them down and then they look at the other side and just say, well, that 50%, they're really dumb. I think that was a huge, huge mistake. But at the same time, that's what you get when you get a Mark Cuban. That's what you get when you get mainstream media throwing out lies about the other party. No?
Right. I mean, I was living in D.C. during the last presidential election, and then prior to that in 2016, I vividly remember the Women's March. You could not get a brunch reservation anywhere. I was not marching, but I did want a brunch, and I was like, man, this place is mobbed. But anyhow, this is day one of the Trump administration, and you've got women in the streets all across the country because they feel oppressed. And my question was,
is this the vagina hat rally?
Yes.
Okay.
Those were
just want to make sure I knew.
Tough days.
It was like, why are you doing this? But you have all these women who decide overnight that they are now oppressed. Trump has done nothing. And by every metric, things got better for women during the Trump administration.
Better for everyone, I would
Yes,
even. I mean, you're seeing, that's the reason the working folks came out. That's the reason the minority vote went the way that it did so strongly, is because people lived. It's simple economics.
Well, do you expect that today too, though? I mean, I expect liberal women to be out on the streets crying, saying that their rights are all going to be taken away, and just kind of they've fallen into this, that they have a right to kill a baby or an abortion. They have a right to certain things that they actually don't. Do you think that we'll see that again today? Or at least, maybe during inauguration time?
So there will be a meltdown. I don't anticipate that it will be on the level of 2016, because I do think that most women and just most Americans are generally sane and reasonable people. I hope. I'm like, please, America, don't prove me wrong. But look, in 2016, everybody had been told he is this unknown, that he's a fascist, he's this, he's that. Well, there are a lot of people who were told that and probably bought into that lie, who then lived through 4 years of a Trump administration and went, hey, this isn't so bad. So
it's not any of those things.
Right. It's pretty darn great. So I would hope that people saw the light, and that there at least won't be as many people who have been brainwashed into a meltdown over absolutely nothing. Like, imagine going out and rioting in the street because your life's about to get better. Couldn't be me.
Angela Morbido is our guest right here on the Morning Extra, and I want to ask you, 30,000-foot view, big picture of this thing. I think the issue that the left currently has, the Democrats as a whole, is that they've created caricatures of different people. They're not seeing people for who they are, and I think what this Trump campaign did, especially over the last several weeks, is to see individuals, whether you're the fry cook or you're the garbage man or whoever you are, and just say, hey, you're just people. It's here. It's what it is. I wonder if the left can move back to that center where they used to be that party for people that saw people as people rather than caricatures.
Well, the GOP is now the party of the working class. The GOP is, once again, the big tent party. They have grown this coalition exponentially. And I think you raised such a good point that if you're a Democrat this morning and you're not asking yourself that question of how do we get back there, you are just digging that party's grave even deeper.
If you're busy saying, I can't believe the Hispanics and the black males turn to get, it's like, stop talking about, do not put a qualifier.
Yeah.
Right.
Men was your problem. It wasn't Hispanic men, wasn't black. Men.
Yep, especially young men went plus 27 for Trump. Young women went plus 2 for Kamala.
Wow.
So that gender divide in Generation Z is just growing deeper and deeper and deeper.
But are you surprised by how few women showed up when that was all Kamala was talking to?
I am and I'm not. I think that a few years ago, everybody was talking about the female vote as it pertained to age. And if you were a young woman, you tended to vote left. As you got older, you tended to vote right. And then there was someone whose name escapes me, which I regret terribly because this is a very smart person who deserves credit.
It was me.
It was all
I'm sorry. I take credit for all that. Sorry.
You know what? How could I forget? This was absolutely you. This was Lois,
We'll see.
who figured out that it wasn't an age gap, it was a marriage gap. And when women get married and start to have families of their own.
68% of married women vote Republican.
Yep. And I am one of them. Now, I'm an outlier here because even when I wasn't married, I was always voting Republican all the way through. But you see how people's priorities change and their concerns change and the way they look at the world changes. That's something that Democrats cannot overcome.
Yeah.
You cannot convince someone that something that's wrong for their family is actually good for their family. People are way smarter than that.
When we look at these numbers, that 30% agree, 30%, 30%, 30% on the Democrat side, you look and go, okay, that's the squad, that's the progressives. And I feel like the Democrat Party was held hostage by progressives. Do you think they will start to push them aside? I mean, AOC won convincingly in New York. Don't know how after she got rid of all the jobs there, but you're seeing a lot of these. Jasmine Crockett's another one who won in Texas. I was surprised, maybe not surprised that she won there, but do you think they'll start pushing them to the side a little bit?
I think they should. I don't think they can because the most radical part of the Democratic Party is the loudest.
Yeah.
That's how you get transgender issues on the front page when that affects such a tiny, tiny percentage of the population. And all of a sudden, well, if you don't want a 6'6" man on your daughter's sports team, well, that's on you and you're a bigot. You use the perfect word. They've been held hostage. I think they will continue to be held hostage. Now, yes, are there people who are radical on the right and people who take things to a harmful extreme? Yes. But those people are not people you hear from. Those are not people who are going to Congress. Every political side in every country on earth has a fringe. The Republicans have figured out that sane people are in charge.
Yeah.
The left hasn't.
Speaking of radical, Rhino and I, we've already gotten out our folders from the great designer to implement Project 2025. Excited. I'm just going to say, like, this, we're now that we're past this, we can begin doing what we've been assigned to do. I'm the great designer.
I created a list for all the Democrats that come and yell at me about Project 2025, and I've put them on this list on Twitter so they know that they're being reported.
I just got used to it. Like, Project 2025. I'm like, fine, yes, you're right. I'm trying to implement this Heritage Foundation, whatever.
When we come back, I want to talk to you about what you expect out of the Department of Education. Like, where does that go from here? What does Donald Trump have to do to correct it? You were there to see it up close and personal when you worked in the Department of Education under Betsy DeVos. So that'll be the topic next after headlines, which is coming up on Extra 106.3, Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station. Angela Morabito is our guest, visiting fellow at the Independent Women's Forum.
Voters across the nation spoke out and declared prominently that it's time for a change. It's time to move on from the current administration and work hard to strengthen America again.
We're going to help our country heal. We're going to help our country heal. We have a country that needs help, and it needs help very badly.
Count on the conservative voice of Atlanta, Extra 106.3, to bring you the latest updates, unrivaled national and local coverage of the transfer of power and everything that needs to happen next. Proud to be your voice and proud to bring sanity back to the White House. Extra 106.3 and the Extra app.
I know that we have crossed that barrier. I know that everybody is feeling really good today, but I don't want you to think that natural disasters still won't happen. I don't want you to think that you don't need to be prepared in an emergency. True Prep is still one of the most important things you can do for you and your family, because it's about hurricanes. It's about your water supply. It's about extreme heat. It's about a lot of things that are out of our control. We'll make sure that you are in control of being prepared. True Prep in Marietta on Cobb Parkway, a locally owned and operated business that cares about you, cares about the community, and wants to make sure that you have all the tools you need to keep your family safe. True Prep, Marietta, Cobb Parkway. Go down there. Check out their amazing showroom. Check out the freeze-dried food, the water filtration, the first aid kits, the firearms, especially their huge selection of AR-15s, firearm accessories and ammo. And I'll tell you right now, I shop it all the time. They have the lowest prices around. I even challenge them on it sometimes. Plus, they always have great sales. And even more important, maybe you're new, maybe you don't know where to start. They even have workshops that you can attend right there in Marietta on Cobb Parkway. They have a really beautiful classroom. They do things like intro to emergency preparedness. They do a get home, get out bag, or a bug out bag, as you like to call it. Learn how to set that up. And they even do a stop the bleed. And they also care about doing blood drives and things for the community. Go visit Matt, Joey, Amy, all the professionals over at True Prep, or visit them online and sign up for some of their classes today. And that's trueprep.com. That's TRU prep.com. Prepare today for a worry-free tomorrow with True Prep.
Tune into your new favorite show that's redefining the A to Z's of marketing, The Marketing Madmen. We'll take you behind the scenes of successful campaigns and reveal the strategies that win. We're not just talking about marketing, we're making it happen. From viral content creation to leveraging AI for customer engagement, our experts bring you to the cutting edge of industry. This is your playbook for market dominance. Tune in and transform your approach with actionable tips that could skyrocket your ROI. The Marketing Madmen, every Saturday at 4 p.m. right here on Extra 106.3.
I enjoy a good night's sleep, and I like to breathe while I'm sleeping. My wife appreciates that, too. That's why I wear a CPAP. You want the right machine. You want expert advice. You want all the supplies that go with it. You get it all at CPAPs, etc. in Alpharetta. Machines, masks, tubing, filters, cleaning supplies, all of it, and they ship nationwide. Walk-ins, by the way, are welcome. CPAPs, etc. Alpharetta, CPAPSETC.com.
Hey, Georgia neighbors, it's time to expect more from your Medicare Advantage. Discover Sonder Health's custom plans tailored just for Georgians. Sonder's offers unique benefits, including special plans for those living with chronic conditions. Some plans even come with grocery or gas benefits to support your overall well-being. Sonder Health makes it easy to get the coverage you need. See for yourself what today's Medicare Advantage can do for you. Visit SonderHealthPlans.com, a healthier state of life. Sonder Health Plans is an HMO and PPO with Medicare contracts. Enrollment in Sonder Health Plans depends on contract renewal.
Get the parts and service you need fast from the professional parts people at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
I've been with EMC Security for over 10 years, and their service and support are always fantastic. There's nothing better than a business that understands that great service earns loyalty, unlike companies that rely on contracts. Plus, their prices are unbeatable, and they're always focused on solving any issues quickly.
It's time to experience long-term satisfaction and true customer care. EMC Security, exceeding customer expectations since 1998. Visit emcsecurity.com for a free quote.
As an official community partner of the Atlanta Braves and the Atlanta Braves Foundation, the Warrior Alliance connects warriors and their families to free services such as health and wellness, housing, employment, education, legal services, and so much more. We need your financial support to increase our impact and change thousands of lives for those who served in the U.S. Armed Forces. It takes more than just thank you for your service. Make a donation to help warriors navigate to success after service. Go to thewarrioralliance.org/donate and make a difference today.
You know the old expression, I love it when a plan comes together? Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on the station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to firstlibertyga.com and see if our First Liberty Notes are right for you. Go to firstlibertyga.com. That's firstlibertyga.com.
First Liberty Notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines. Presented by RBM of Atlanta, your Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your top stories in the state of Georgia for today, Wednesday, November 6th. President Donald Trump is projected to win the state of Georgia and the 2024 presidential election over Vice President Kamala Harris. Donald Trump has flipped the state of Georgia red, securing 50.8% of the vote and claiming the state's 16 electoral votes. Trump also appears poised to win the national popular vote, marking the first time in over 20 years that a Republican candidate has achieved this feat. Fulton County DA Fonnie Willis, who brought charges against President Donald Trump, has won her bid for re-election. Willis defeated Republican opponent Courtney Kramer, securing 68% of the vote in the race for Fulton County District Attorney. And Georgia voters have re-elected all incumbents in the U.S. House of Representatives, and newcomer Brian Jack has won his election bid. Republican incumbents Marjorie Taylor Greene, Buddy Carter, Andrew Clyde, Mike Collins, Austin Scott, Barry Loudermilk, and Rick Allen will all return to Capitol Hill. On the Democratic side, Nikema Williams, Sanford Bishop, Hank Johnson, Lucy McBath, and David Scott will also reclaim their seats in the House. With your headlines, Scott Rhino, Trump 1063.
Morning Xtra and Xtra 1063. We're on the air until 10. 404-741-1230 is the number. Our guest is Angela Morabito. She was the spokeswoman for the Department of Education under Betsy DeVos in the Trump administration, now a visiting fellow at the Independent Women's Forum. Let's start with education because that's your background. And Donald Trump, he's got to do something to fix education in this country. Is it slashing the Department of Education altogether? What do you see as the path forward for education in America?
You said it. Slashing the department is a great place to start. And I say that and people are like, oh, but you worked there. And I'm saying yes. And I see that it's an $80+ billion a year money sink. And if you cut that very expensive department, you could instead block grant that money to the states. Now, the department does some really smart things, right? There's an Office for Civil Rights protecting civil rights in education. Things like, wink, wink, the right not to have a man on your daughter's sports team. Hello. That's super important. I think that probably belongs with DOJ.
Yeah.
Student loans, maybe we should get the government out of that business too. But realistically, why not have the bankers right? Send that to Treasury. There are a lot of different ways to skin this cat that don't involve continuing to spend $80 billion a year on a Department of Education that's educated zero people.
Do you think Randy Weingarten is screaming today? I mean, I saw her screaming everywhere else. Do you think she's just losing her mind today with the idea that he is going to make changes? Look, I'm all for getting rid of it. I put out there facts that before we had this, we were number 1 in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're 24. There is work to do to bring education back and common sense education, those STEM programs.
Yes.
But do you think they are going to fight this every single way? Or do you think he'll actually be able to make some really important changes and get rid of a lot of that?
I think he will be able to make some very important changes. And to answer your first question, I think Randy is absolutely screaming right now because this election was a fight for her survival, right?
Yeah.
Like you saw the teacher unions were some of Kamala's first big endorsers. There's a symbiotic relationship here where Kamala needed the unions, she needed their money, and she needed their votes, although we all know that did not propel her to the White House, thankfully. Well, the unions need allies in government because they can't defend their product. Mm-hmm. And as soon as parents have a way out, they're going to take that way out in droves. That's school choice. That's education freedom. If the unions don't have a monopoly, their business collapses, and they are on the precipice of that. Thankfully for America's students and families, because Trump has said education freedom is the civil rights issue of our time.
Angela Morbido is our guest on the Morning Extra, and I'm not into like union busting on a regular basis. I'm kind of like, you know what, you're doing your thing, and that's fine, and hopefully it doesn't affect me. But there is a part of me whenever I see fake John Denver, and I see her, and she's yelling at me about what they need, and I just think to myself, man, I hope to bust this thing up. And the fact that my kids are in public school, I feel like largely that is not being, she's not getting a chance to really touch them in this way. But at the same point, I go, how many of these parents have to look at her and just say, enough's enough. Like, we got to remake this. We got to redo this.
She has yet to give a press conference, at least that I've ever seen, where she's not jumping and screaming.
And yelling all the time.
Yeah.
It's a little weird, right? If you want to have a serious conversation about helping America's schools, you don't scream at people. Mm-hmm. That's not cool. And that's
Barack Obama found that out recently.
Yes, he did.
Scolding people was not a great idea, was it?
You cannot shame people into loving your candidate or loving your policies. So Randy and other teacher union bosses have a big problem on their hands. We see this in Chicago, where what's going on up there is a soap opera. I honestly think if you wrote down what was going on in Chicago public schools and pitched it to a network, they would say, what in the Hallmark movie is this? This is completely unrealistic. Because they tried to orchestrate a complete takeover of the schools. Well, the city had its first school board elections last night, and it was a pretty stunning rebuke of what the mayor is trying to do, which is give the union everything at once.
Goodness. What about textbooks? Because this is a discussion we've had on the show a long time. Because when you do go to school and the textbooks are feeding you nonsense that comes from maybe Wikipedia, that the information is just so flawed and not real, I think parents are really scared of that because even homeschooling, they've got to weed through those textbooks that don't have valuable information, don't have correct information. And this is, the left controls all of that. They worry about misinformation, and then the entire time they print it.
Hey, old man, there are no textbooks anymore.
Okay, all right, yes.
What year are you in?
Yeah, exactly. Now I feel really old.
Which I think is even scarier, that everything's done online now.
But it's because it could be so manipulated in an instant.
Yes. So there are textbooks. There's at least content that should be read. My concern cuts even deeper than the bad textbooks. It's, can these kids read at all? Mm-hmm. Because we are printing thousands upon thousands of diplomas every year for high school seniors who cannot read, write, and do math. They are functionally illiterate. It is going to haunt them for the rest of their lives. And we just accept it. It's okay. You got out of high school. You got that stamp of approval from your county, from your district that says you can do it, even though we all know it's a lie. So
it's the trophy for everyone.
Right. Yeah. They're participation trophies. You're exactly right. So reading is a piece of the puzzle. It's the biggest piece of the puzzle. But so is critical thinking. So I would say that if your child's textbook, one, read what's in it, and two, there should be more than one textbook for every class, right? Like if you're a really great teacher, you're exposing those kids to different viewpoints all the time. And I think any parent can do that, is say, hey, maybe check this out, maybe read this article. Kids are hungry for this information. That's the whole secret to the Montessori method, is that kids naturally want to learn.
Yeah. I think, and you know what? It's not about the different color kids or sex or anything else. And that's what Democrats are going to come with. They're going to come with, well, if you give school choice, then our schools will fail. Your schools have been failing.
Yes.
Especially here in the Atlanta public school system, where they actually changed grades in order to get them to. How do we combat that lie that these kids are going to fall behind, that they won't have the same curriculum or the same people teaching, and that school choice would destroy those schools?
I think this is the very hardest problem to solve in education today, is the issue of standards. Our standards are on the decline. Georgia no longer has a state high school graduation test. I took it back in the day. I will not tell you how long ago, but I had to take it. And one
it was like 2 years ago.
Yeah, 3 years.
Totally.
3, sir.
Thank you. That tells me the skincare routine is working. You guys can't tell how old I am. But when I had to take the test, one of the questions on it was, what shape is a basketball? And if you knew it was a sphere, for real.
Championship.
For real.
Circle.
Well, circle was an option. Circle was your trick answer. Right?
As I drool on my paper, circle.
The standards are so low, and every politician wants to be able to say our graduation rates are high, GPAs are rising. Okay, well, what does that mean? So that's why it's the hardest problem, because nobody wants their graduation rate to go down.
Right.
But it needs to. Honestly, it should.
It does. You have to fail. Sometimes
Yes.
you have to fail to succeed. And, I know there's no way anyone can sit and tell me that in these cities, in these schools, that these black kids can't learn, or they're not able to learn in the same manner. And why do they continue to divide that and say they need to learn differently? Nobody needs. Why are you grouping that? Why are we not just teaching those STEM things instead of the divisive things?
Well, in large part, it's because of the teacher unions and their political allies. They have a vested interest in not whether kids can read, write, and do math, but in what those kids grow up to believe. So they say critical thinking kicks in around 12, 13 generally. That's like sort of the scientific
That was when I started
consensus.
rejecting my dad in WWF. That sounds about right. He's like, Dad, this is fake, man.
Whoa. It's fake.
It's funny you mention it. Well, let me ask you this, because I have a friend of ours, a good friend of our family, just got elected to office as a school board in Forsyth County.
Amazing.
And we always talk about getting involved in your school board. Is that the first line of defense at this point? Because I know we talk about, well, we got to pay attention to what's going on in our schools. We got to pay attention to these teachers. We got to pay attention to these unions. To me, the first line of defense is, let me get my school board straight and then kind of go from there.
So I would say that school board is part 1B of getting involved. Part 1A is knowing your stuff, because every school board member is inundated now. And hey, thankfully, this is a great thing that parents are waking up. But sometimes people are coming to them with concerns that either don't belong at the school board level or aren't related to student success. So awareness is 1A, school board is 1B. But what you've touched on is that school boards matter. Was anyone talking about a school board election 8 years ago?
No.
Because I don't think they were.
This is something we've come around to when we talk about not just your school board, but hey, your sheriff's office. Like, these things are things you should pay attention to locally, because they will affect you much more than anything when it comes to the presidency of the United States.
Yes, and that should become more true with Trump in office, because his whole idea for education is restore power back to families, back to the local level, back to the people who are closest to the work. So not only has your school board been more important, but they're about to get even more important when Trump does what he says he will do with the Department of Ed and Education more broadly.
And you feel, kind of as we wrap up, and you feel good about that. You think it's going to happen. He's going to do the things that need to be done, the changes that need to be made.
I feel great about it. I was there for round 1. I'm excited for round 2.
There we go.
All right. Do you think The View is going to be the most watched TV show today?
I
can't wait, right?
Exactly.
Like, I'm going to go home. I'm going to get some Bluebell.
Yeah.
Thing of tissues. I'm just going to sit there and eat and cry.
Well, I'm going to cry.
You mean laugh until you cry.
No, I'm going to put I'm putting myself in the position of my mother.
Yeah. This is Whoopi's last show. She is moving.
That's what she said.
She's leaving this
right.
country.
Yeah.
So I am going to be there with my tissues as well.
A lot
Goodbye,
of flights
Whoopi.
today coming
She's
out of the
a nice
United
Jewish
States.
woman, Whoopi Goldberg.
You know, a lot of folks are going to be headed out. They're not coming back, they say.
Canada hardest hit.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Hey, can I say this, Rob Reiner? Please don't light yourself
No,
on fire.
that's
That's a
too
little
much.
too
That's
extreme.
too
You're more
much.
than welcome to move, but
Yeah.
please don't light
You have a
yourself
lot
on
to
fire.
live for.
That's exactly right. Angela, thank you.
Thank you guys so much.
We appreciate what you do. We appreciate your point of view, and you're always welcome. Please come back soon.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
And gloat. This is fun today.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah. Really final thought. We're always so impressed by your Twitter game.
Oh, thank
the
you.
The fact that you're so kind as a person, but you're not afraid to.
You're like you're a Ginsu knife, okay? It's like you don't see it coming, and suddenly, ha! It's like exact precision. She cut him in half.
That's exactly.
I will be riding high on that compliment for 5 to 7 business days. Thank you so much.
I love it. The 8 o'clock hour is brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta carrier expert. 770-GET-HEAT, centralheat.com. More of your calls and more discussion about this landslide victory and what it means for the United States of America. Next on Extra 106.3.
You guys are so sweet.
President Donald Trump is once again set to take office.
This was a movement like nobody's ever seen before. There's never been anything like this in this country and maybe beyond.
And Extra 106.3 is here to keep Atlanta informed and connected as things change in D.C. Proud to march on is the conservative voice of Atlanta. Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
Holidays just around the corner. Southern Exteriors is doing something truly special with their Home for the Holidays roof giveaway. Until the end of the month, November 30th, you have a chance to nominate a deserving family in need of a brand new roof just in time for the holidays. And so many families are facing hardships, hopefully not for not much longer. The hardships we can see could be coming to an end. Look, it's going to take a little while to turn this big old economy around. But when it does, we're all going to be better off for it. We've done what needs to be done at the ballot box, and congratulations to you. Now, though, until we get there, we need to help great folks. Great Georgians, great Americans, great folks that live in Atlanta and Metro Atlanta with getting their roof in working order. It's the most important aspect of your house. It protects everything in your house from your memories to your family. So if you know a deserving family in need of a new roof, you can nominate one today by visiting southernexteriors.co. The website, southernexteriors.co. Don't mess it up. This is so important. It's vital. southernexteriors.co.
Foundation repair isn't pretty, but at Atlanta Ramjack, we make it easy. If you notice any cracks in your foundation, they need to be addressed as soon as possible to reduce additional costs that come with the repair. Why call us? Foundation repair is all we do. We have highly trained estimators that will thoroughly evaluate your home and only recommend what is needed. If you are experiencing foundation problems, please contact us at ramjack.com/Atlanta or call us at 770-502-8881.
You may know that ATL Turf Co. has become a leader in artificial grass design and installation services, but you may not know that ATL Turf Co. is a large artificial grass distributor. We only sell U.S.-made, premium name brand turf at factory direct pricing below wholesale. And now we're open to the public with large inventories of lawn and landscape, putting green, athletic, and pet turf on sale. Plus, all remnants are on sale for only $1 per square foot, direct from Dalton to our warehouse in Kennesaw. Visit atlturfco.com to learn more. atlturfco.com.
What if I told you that you could get the engagement ring and wedding bands of your dreams in up to 10 grand in your hand? Jaron Solomon here from Solomon Brothers Jewelers to announce our incredible Takori Bridal event, November 22nd through the 24th at all 3 Solomon Brothers locations. During this event, we will be offering up to $10,000 cash back on your Takori engagement ring and wedding bands, or 3 years interest-free financing. Your choice. Takori will be bringing all new, never-before-seen, handcrafted pieces that you are sure to love. And we're not stopping there. For the first time ever, Solomon Brothers will be including GIA-certified diamonds during this promotion. So put some diamonds on your fingers and up to 10 grand in your hand during our Takori Bridal event, November 22nd through the 24th at all 3 locations, Buckhead, Alpharetta, and Sharpsburg. Shop us online at SolomonBrothers.com and on Instagram at Solomon Brothers.
Millions of guys suffer from erectile dysfunction. That's 1 in 4 men. And I can tell you, I'm one of them.
If you or someone you know suffer from ED, Peyronie's disease, or PE, here's 38-year emergency room doctor and founder of Total Body Therapy of Georgia, Dr. Eric Deal.
Patients who enter my office are often frustrated, hopeless, depressed, and embarrassed. I understand the problem, and I'm going to help you fix it. There are lots of competitors that don't have the credentials that I have. When you go to other clinics, you're not going to see board-certified physicians physician with the experience that I have. When you come to our clinic, you're going to see me. There's just not one therapy that can solve these complex issues. I'll do a complete history and physical prior to any treatment that we use. Take it from me, Dr. Deal. When it's not hard, it's really hard.
Call Dr. Deal for your free one-on-one evaluation and resolve your ED, Throниes, or PE issues. Total Body Therapy of Georgia, 404-777-1911, 404-777-1911, online at stopmyed.com.
Who doesn't want a great smile? The world seems brighter because it is. Hey, it's a Kimmer. How's it going? You know, that's only one reason to see my dentist, Dr. Dina Giesler at Atlantis Smiles. The other reason, of course, is to take care of your teeth, or they're going to make your life miserable. We all know that. But when's the last time you were smiling before you walked in the door like me? Because I know Dr. Dina and her staff are the happiest Kimmer babes you ever saw. We're going to fix me up, and I always take the gas. They tell me my best stories come out that way. And you can actually get a doggy right there, napping in my lap, a little doggy. I said, go ahead, work away. Dr. Dina's a Navy vet, ranked a master dentist, which only 1% can say. She's been doing veneers since before anybody even knew what that was. My first visit was 30 years ago. Cosmetic dentistry, cleaning, bridges, crowns, especially keeping your teeth and gums healthy to last as long as you do. Veterans Automatic, 10% discount. Just tell them when you call. 404-263-7733. It's AtlantaSmiles.com. Your new smile's waiting for you. AtlantaSmiles.com. Tell them the Kimmer sent you. Ask for the doggy. AtlantaSmiles.com.
Keep up with all of our shows and the latest headlines by following Extra 1063 on Instagram, X, Facebook, Truth Social, and all your social media platforms. Plus exclusive giveaways and more. So follow now at XTRA 1063.
I have a question for you both, Rhino and Los, in just a moment. But first, I want to let everybody know in the wake of Hurricane Helene and Milton, Truist Bank and their employees have been working hard to help the communities affected by those devastating storms. To date, Truist has gathered and donated 15 tractor-trailer loads worth of non-perishable food items, water, cleaning supplies, and so much more. They continue to provide prepared meals for the citizens of Greenville and Asheville and are really working hard to deploy more mobile branches to the hardest-hit areas, plus having donated over more than $2 million from the Truist Foundation to the disaster relief partners. There's more to be done, but Truist's purpose remains to inspire and build better lives and communities. Find out ways that you can help at your local Truist branch or online at truist.com. I want to ask y'all, do you know what day it is?
Today?
Yeah, do you know what day it is?
Wednesday?
It is Wednesday.
Uh-oh. Guess what day it is? Mike. What day is it, Mike? Leslie, guess what today is?
It's hump day.
Trump Day!
Hump Day!
It's Trump Day! That's exactly right.
Happy Trump Day!
Old Flounder sent us that, and it was like, we have to grab the old camel walking through saying, what day is today? It's Trump Day, and it is.
Wait, was he talking to Michelle Obama?
I'm unsure.
Call her Mike. That's so disrespectful.
Yeah, I don't know that that's who he was talking about. But I just know that Donald Trump won in a landslide election, landslide fashion, and it's fun to be able to laugh again.
I want to laugh. I want to do things. I don't know if you, well, all right, Tug, you're out. Hold on, Carlos. The Wolverine Deadpool. One of the biggest things was the NSYNC song and the dance that goes along with it.
Sure.
I sure would love to be able to do that for Kamala Harris, the bye, bye, bye.
There it is. On demand, Joey.
These are all the trolling ideas that are going through my head, but at the same time, I know a lot of people are going to be upset. They've been brainwashed. They have been taken hostage by the left and told what to think, and they're really worried today. I want you to be okay. I want you to understand that this republic is going to protect you. The one good thing I know is our borders will be secure, and you don't have to worry about getting murdered, robbed. You don't have to worry about your children dying of fentanyl overdoses that are coming across, or maybe even being human trafficked. So feel good today.
I'm a benevolent dictator.
Day one, baby.
And so I look at it as, all right, you've treated me very poorly. In fact, you've called me a Nazi. You've called me a fascist. You've said everything to me. You sent me the death threats through DMs and emails. I've got all that over the last 3 years. Okay, that's fine. I forgive you. What I'm now saying is that you're going to have to do things my way. And that way is actually going to be advantageous to you. You're going to have to stop drinking the View Kool-Aid and the MSNBC Kool-Aid. What I encourage you to do is find a little bit of getting outside your bubble and see how the rest of the world thinks, because the rest of the world just kicked your butt by 5 million votes. Okay, you haven't had a Republican who's won the popular vote in 20 years, and it wasn't like it won by a little bit. All right, like right now it's 5 million. It could get even more than that.
Yeah. No,
he's going to do 300 electoral votes by the time we get all the rest of this data in, and 5 million more votes than your counterpart.
And it's amazing that the thing that stands out to me, all after this man was called a fascist, a racist, a Nazi, all these. So Kamala Harris was such a bad candidate that she lost to a person that was all of those things, according to 96% of the mainstream media, and her entire campaign was built on that premise. How horrible a candidate is she to lose to someone that she says that's what it is? Dude, you have to reflect. You have to be able to reflect on this, and Democrats should be able to reflect on this. I saw Kevin O'Leary from Shark Tank. He was talking about how this is actually the best thing that could happen to Democrats, because they'll have to reflect. They'll have to adjust.
Maybe they'll start respecting their voter base a little bit more. Maybe they won't pander with things like, black men, you have to vote because I'll legalize marijuana. Black men, you have to vote. I will give you money to get your first house. I will give you money to start your own business because you can't do it to yourself. Maybe they'll start looking and going, Kamala Harris said she's in charge. She's a leader, and she picked Tim Walz, the most unmasculine man she possibly could, and tried to push him off as a coach who said, we run a great pick six here. This is a guy who had to put on a flannel to prove that he's a man. I'll tell you one thing. I love my flannels. I do. I love all my flannels that I have. I've never said, you know what, I've got to look a little bit more manly today, so I'm going to go ahead and put on a flannel. She made every bad decision for this campaign, and you guys fell for every trick in the book, and you never even had an issue to vote on.
Can I give you another example of what we now are set up for?
Denying an election?
No, not at all.
Oh, Keith Olbermann's already starting.
But you can now, and this is a good thing, and I don't care for it, but I'm just saying when it happens, it happens.
Okay.
You can now tell Clarence Thomas, you've carried the water a long time. If you want to retire, sir, you can retire, sir.
You're right. You're absolutely right, because you'll have the ability to take his
and you're going to have the Senate, and you're going to be able to go through this process.
But how long does Sotomayor hang on? Because she's been toying with retiring, and now I guarantee you she will not retire in the next 2 years.
No.
Guarantee.
No, she's going
even though she wants to
try and avoid that as much as possible. But remember, with the Supreme Court and how important it's been, you now have some older justices who have been there for the better part of 30 years. That if you're considering retirement, now here's your window.
When you just go out and you give me no issues, okay, and Joe Biden's as guilty, and so is every Democrat. You fell victim to a crook in Nancy Pelosi and Barack Obama and the rest of them who have been playing games with your mind for this long. But the reality of it is this: you're never going to win a campaign by just putting down somebody else with lies and saying that this man is the worst, this man's the worst, this man's the worst, especially when it's an economy. Listen to James Carville. I know that he thought he guaranteed a Kamala Harris victory, but the reality is he should have taken his own advice. It's the economy, stupid. And that's exactly what it was. And then you throw in the border too, Carlos.
But he told them too that their messaging was so far off, and they'd become the party of women, and they were not going to be able to lock in men based on their messaging. That is what the Ragin' Cajun was raging about. We don't have the right messaging to secure men to vote.
He wasn't wrong about that.
And the economy is beating up women to start with, so what's going to happen to you? You end up getting landslided.
And that is indeed what happened. I want to play y'all one thing from the dudes. This is for the men who came out and voted, and technology was against you. Technology companies were against you.
The President of the United States.
The U.S. President is Donald Trump.
That's the boys asking Siri.
Yeah.
Siri, who's president? Donald Trump. Let's go.
I hope it becomes that like Atlanta Live big screen.
Yeah, me too. And they're rolling Toomer's Corner over in Auburn, Alabama.
Let's go.
That? There you go. 8 o'clock hour brought to you by Central Heating and Air Conditioning, your Atlanta carrier experts. 770-GET-HEAT, centralheat.com.
It's time for the Bortz Report, exclusively on Atlanta's only conservative news and talk station, Xtra 106.3.
There must be something lucky about the Bortz bus. Donna and I were in Bortz bus number 3 when Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton. That look on Hillary Clinton's face the next morning when she made her concession speech was priceless. Thus far, we've been denied the joy of seeing Kamala Harris's face. She decided she was not going to make a speech last night. She'll talk sometime today, maybe even give us a cackle or two. Her campaign says we have to wait until all the votes are counted. I have been treated this morning to some pictures of Harris supporters crying, wailing, crying, screaming. I have to be an evil dude because I find that so very entertaining. In other good news, the Republicans will have control of the Senate by 1 vote. Control of the House of Representatives is still up for grabs. And I suppose many extra listeners are still furious with me because of the things that I said about Donald Trump. I still mean him. I don't like what he is, but I like what he does. And I'm sure I'm going to like what he does the first few days of the presidency, including shutting down the border. Maybe he can find some other ways to make sanctuary cities feel the pain of their idiocy. But at least we're safe from Kamala's horrible plans. Increase the corporate tax. What a fraud. Anti-price gouging laws, thereby displaying her ignorance of basic economics and the weakness that she would portray to the rest of the world. So let's enjoy the liberal meltdown for a day or two. Might even watch The View. But can we all get together and try to put this country on a better path after the gloating is over? Neil Bortz, Extra 106.3.
Georgia, are you ready to stand up for our values and our future? The Georgia Republican Party is committed to protecting our families, our freedoms, and our way of life. From supporting law enforcement to defending our constitutional rights, we are fighting for you every day. Join us in advocating for lower taxes, better schools, stronger communities, and together we can ensure that Georgia remains the land of opportunity for all. In the upcoming 2024 and 25 elections, we're dedicated to informing, educating, attracting, and inviting all Georgians to vote Republican at every level, state, local, and federal. Get involved. Visit our website at gagop.org to learn how you can support our local candidates and initiatives. Let's make our voices heard, because in Georgia, we believe in hard work, family values, and the American dream. Stand with us, the Georgia Republican Party. Stand for Georgia. Learn more by visiting gagop.org.
Lee Brandt Jewelry and Watch Company, where quality and value make the difference. Locally owned and located in Sandy Springs, offering you the finest selection of unique diamonds, sapphires, rubies, and emerald jewelry, as well as other fine gemstones. Lee Brandt Jewelry and Watches has been servicing Rolex watches for over 30 years, and their Rolex-trained watchmaker will service your watch in their state-of-the-art Rolex service center in their store. Lee Brandt uses only genuine Rolex parts, and their estimates are free. Drop by Lee Brandt in the Trader Joe's Shopping Center in Sandy Springs or visit LeeBrandt.com.
Isn't it funny how the Democrats always focus on the bad part of American history and they never talk about the good part of American history?
Yeah.
The Kimmer Show every afternoon from 3 to 6 p.m. on Extra 106.3 and the Extra app. WFOM and W292EV Marietta, a Dickey broadcasting station. The 9 a.m. hour is presented by Southern Exteriors. Quality and precision you can rely on.
This is a Fox News alert. Making Trump president again. I'm Dave Anthony.
Look what happened. Is this crazy?
That was President-elect Trump at about 2:30 this morning, celebrating in West Palm Beach, Florida.
This was, I believe, the greatest political movement of all time. There's never been anything like this.
He defeated Vice President Harris with 277 electoral votes so far, and he's leading in 4 states not called yet.
We're going to fix our borders. We're going to fix everything about our country.
Trump has so far won all the battleground states, including Pennsylvania.
I am glad
glad that it was a wake-up call for America.
Another Trump voter in North Carolina tells Fox.
I think a lot of what's happened in the last 4 years wouldn't have happened if Trump had been in office.
Fox News voter analysis shows President-elect Trump had a 10-point lead among men over Vice President Harris. He was also favored by double digits by voters without a college degree. And he made big gains among minorities, 41% of Latino and Hispanic voters and 15% of the black vote. That's far more than in 2016 and 2020. And unlike those elections, President-elect Trump won the popular vote at 51% now. And he's getting congratulations from foreign leaders. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu among the first, calling it a huge victory.
Now, Trump and Netanyahu have been longtime friends. They have spoken extensively about the situation in the Middle East, and the Israelis see a Trump victory as something positive for their country. Now, Netanyahu's sentiment was echoed in the streets of Tel Aviv today.
That's Fox's Trey Yingst. And Republicans also won control of the Senate in the next Congress.
We got a red, white, and blue wave. America won last night. We should be so proud of our country.
That's Bernie Moreno, who unseated Senator Sherrod Brown in Ohio. Democrat John Tester also voted out of office in Montana. Republican Tim Sheehy beat him. Jim Justice won in West Virginia, giving the GOP 52 seats so far. They also have a lead in House races. On Wall Street, stocks could surge. Dow futures up more than 1,200 points. America's listening to...
Police officer and K-9 handler Jacob Russell Chaffins was fatally shot while attempting to serve warrants for domestic violence offenses. And thanks to friends like you and your generosity, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave the Chaffins family the gift of a mortgage-free home. There's so much more to do and to say thank you to our nation's heroes and their families for their immense sacrifices, all for us. Donate $11 a month. Go to their website, the letter T, the number 2, the letter T.org.
Have you thought about the causes the brands you support stand behind? Well, Pure Talk supports our veterans. They've relieved $10 million in veteran debt, donated tens of thousands monthly to prevent veteran suicide, and donated $50,000 to Mike Rowe Works, helping to provide scholarships to veterans after active duty. It's time to jump ship from Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. Dial pound 250 and say keyword Pure Talk to save an additional 50% off your first month. Dial pound 250 and say Pure Talk.
Get the Extra 106.3 app.
Yeah, I got your app. I live out here 30 miles west of Augusta. I'm so glad Conservative Talk is back on the air.
Oh, my gosh. We've heard from people this morning from Atlanta, Kennesaw, Canton, Suwanee, Cumming, Decula. I mean, the list is extensive of people calling in, talking about last night's election, talking about what you saw, what you expected, and what we received. A win, a W. Put that one in the win column for America. 404-741-1230. We did it, y'all.
We did it.
We did it. You remember that? Remember the Kamala drop? We did it, Joe.
Yeah.
Ours is we did it, y'all.
You answered all the questions. You did everything.
You did great, Joe. You did great today. You walked upstairs by yourself.
Dude, it was a complete repudiation of everything that the Biden-Harris campaign stood for and leftists stand for, socialists stand for. And working Americans said, that's not who we are.
That is not who we are. And it was a referendum real quick on the direction this country needs to be.
A mandate even,
well,
with the voting.
Stop the democracy talk. Stop the democracy talk. We're not a democracy. Okay, understand that. Now, democracy worked because he won the popular vote, but that's not the way you want it. You want an electoral college. You want to understand, because people in New York and California don't understand Georgia. They don't understand.
That's
right. You know, it was funny to watch because I sat there and Marjorie Taylor Greene getting tossed around by people from New York and Cal. And I think Mark Hamill was the one who started. And my first response was, you don't even know you know nothing about Georgia or the people there. Stop, getting involved. But you know what? I think a lot of people are happy today, and I'm really excited about it as well.
I'm not going to take credit for this. I'm going to give the credit over to Natalie Winters because I hadn't dug this deep into this note, right? 3,100 counties in the United States, 3,144 to be exact. Kamala Harris didn't outperform Joe Biden in one.
In any of them. I think we actually have the cut from either CBS or CNN. We're all running on
because the 2020 election was so legitimate.
No, absolutely. If Janelle King didn't convince you of that already, this should.
So you asked, are there any places that the vice president is overperforming Joe Biden in 2020? So we could show you that as well. We just bring that out here. Harris overperforming in 2020. Holy smokes. There you go. So let this go away and see if there's anything on the east side there.
Literally nothing?
Literally nothing.
Literally nothing. Jake Tapper on CNN.
Fell for it.
Literally nothing? Yes, because 2020 was BS, man.
How do they're the ones spreading the lies. How do they already started believing their own lies?
They really did believe all of it.
Can I ask you guys a question? It's been asked a few times now, especially on our YouTube channel. Make sure you go and like and subscribe. Nope.
Not answering any more questions.
Done for the day.
We're done.
Okay,
it's
fine.
over. All right, just one more.
Only because it's you.
People want to know who's going to run this country for the next 2 months and what is going to happen over the next 2 months, because whether you like it or not, a feeble old man with no mindset whatsoever, now a woman who got beat so bad that she is going to just go back to being the border czar. What happens over the next 2 months with the way this country is going to be run, and is Joe Biden going to be a part of it?
I have advice. I don't know that he'll take it or ever hear it or even care to hear it. He could solidify part of his legacy, not being the worst president of all time, not being a complete failure, because that's what he is, by saying Donald Trump won and America has spoken. I'm going to work with him starting today up until the moment that he assumes the presidency to improve America for every American, not Democrats, not Republicans, not independents, but every American. He could take the sting out of his failure as president by going out on a positive note.
You sound like a dignified adult. And let me tell you why Joe Biden won't do that.
Oh, no. I don't expect. Like I said, he won't take the advice even if he were to hear it.
Because one of the and I showed this to a friend of mine, a friend of mine, Joe, who's been an attorney in the area for years and now is doing some work for veterans and a lot of good work for the state. And I brought up how long that you've had Joe Biden, who's basically been all about himself. Mm-hmm. I said, take a look at it's a black and white picture. When he took the oath of office in the hospital, when his wife is dead and his kid is in the hospital, and he was like, put him in a suit and make sure he's laying on the hospital bed while I take the oath. He's always been about him. Yeah. And so, yes, I think it would be huge if he was to say, hey, I'm going to couple myself with Trump because Trump is not my enemy. The machine is your enemy, and it ran you out.
What if he says, I started working for Donald Trump on July 21st? The
Holy
day
cow.
They threw me out,
dude.
And I will continue to work with him.
And that's not going to happen either. But holy cow, that would create the greatest moment in political history. And I brought this up with Joey Jones last night from Fox News Channel, and he, because he's such a dignified man, didn't buy into what I was,
He doesn't get in our slop.
No,
I'm
he
so
doesn't.
impressed by him.
Yeah, he is, and he's A+, and I love him to death. But when Jill Biden showed up at her polling place to cast her ballot, and she's wearing head-to-toe Republican red pantsuit, that was an indicator of how she felt about Kamala Harris 100%. And anybody that doesn't see it is either ignoring it, Joey, you're ignoring it, or you're willfully ignorant.
Yeah, I think you're willfully ignorant. And I said it. They were looking for a deal. They weren't going to step away until they got what they needed to step down. They put pressure on them to walk away, and Jill Biden probably doing what she could to, I'm not going to blame her for trying to protect her family. I don't think she's a good person at all, so don't take that in the wrong way.
Everybody tries to protect their family.
But I would protect my family no matter what, and that's what she was doing, and I think she was as well. I think Joe Biden really was hurt by what they did to him, and I think he will continue to be hurt by what they've done to him. And I think Dark Brandon turned his eyes around and said, I'm focusing over here now, and that's the threat to democracy, and that's the one that I wanted to make sure we got out.
I said this would be my first thing if I was Donald Trump. I think a lot of this is about, you've got a list. Show up, ready to go. Here's the plan. You're going to do a whole lot of executive actions, and you're going to push legislation because you're going to have the House and the Senate. But probably the first thing I'm doing, I'm calling Joe, and I'm saying, I know it's a bad look if you were to pardon your son. I'll do it.
I was going to ask you.
I'll take care of it first day one. I will pardon your son.
Yep.
Yeah,
showing unity
again, right? Showing unity, but that's
he was shot.
No, I know, absolutely.
There's a different mentality that he has.
But that's why I think that if he's smart, it preserves a portion of his legacy. That's why I say, Los, it'd be smart to do it because it's good for him. He could selfishly do this.
Yes.
Yeah. You know
and
what?
it benefits him.
I would love if Donald Trump, okay, this is sarcasm. I can't even get through it. I would love if Donald Trump made Hunter Biden the ambassador to Ukraine so he could bring money back to the United States to help.
Yeah, actually carrying
Get
it
some
back.
of our money back and make some deals.
No, he would put that into cocaine.
Well,
we'd never see that money again.
There are things you're going to do that are going to basically strip away at Joe Biden and his executive actions. And so you understand that so much of what he's able to say he accomplished is going to be out within, I would say, 6 months. It's not going to take long. But I think if you were to start by basically saying, I'm going to take care of your son, I'm going to pardon him, we're going to commute a sentence, we're going to send him home. That's how it's going to be. I think that does a lot. We never got to the point where not prosecuting Hillary Clinton was a benefit to this country. We should have locked her up.
Yeah, she still deserves to be locked up.
But this is still a man who signed up for a gun that he shouldn't have had legally, and it's not anywhere near what Hillary Clinton was involved in. I think this is an olive branch that allows you to do things that you're going to have to run out 10 million people. You're going to need to buy some chips for the game.
Absolutely. Yeah. You have to be smart about this and playing it that way. Though a lot of Republicans are not going to want to hear it, dude. Jesse Kelly ain't wanting to hear it. Yeah. Seth Weathers, who's coming in from Ultra Right Beer, he ain't going to want to hear those things, but those are wise moves.
I really, there's part of me that wants me to see him really take apart this justice, the DOJ, and some of those more than anything. And I want it to be done in a responsible way. I really do. But at this point, I really want to work on the economy. I want to work energy. Both of you, how important it was to me and how much I really paid attention to a lot of that.
You have the date in your mind for 4 years.
Jan 20. I mean, that's my day. And I can't wait till, again, we go back into this Oval Office and we say, hey, it's time to open up energy independence and make this possible again. I would love for him to be the bigger man because I think he is.
Y'all know how I am.
In fact, I want him to be such a big man.
Y'all were going to punch me over this because I was going to say this morning. I thought I was going to get beat.
No.
I really did.
At like 3 in the morning.
Yeah, right, but I was loopy at 3 in the morning.
I feel like you're stealing it from me.
Yeah. I want him to go as far as to walk out of the White House on the front with a press conference, hold up a baggie and say, Hunter, I want to return this cocaine to you.
Now you're getting all wild and crazy. No, but I'm really.
But I do want him to
2:30 in the morning.
No, that's right.
I was a little loopy too.
No, I know, but that's usually the way I operate, and y'all usually come at me pretty hard about being the olive branch guy, about being the bigger man in certain situations, and doing things that wouldn't maybe politically help you or hurt you.
You need the political capital.
I know you do. Yeah, I know it.
Like there's if we look at it like this, imagine politics like a tire. All right, you just bought it. And for the first 10,000 miles, you can kind of do what you want. By the time you get like to 15 or 20,000 miles, the tire doesn't look the same and you don't have as much, you've got so much wear and tear on it. You only get about 6 to 12 months to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
And the tread's going to wear off the tire. Right. You need to build up as much capital as possible so that you have a lot of friends that agree with you during the time period because a lot of people are going to come after you.
Yeah. Absolutely. You're going to have Jamie Raskin. You got Dan Goldman out of New York. They're just scumbags, to be honest with you. Chuck Schumer. I can't even say the words that I feel about him. So you're going to still have to deal with those major players. Mitch McConnell, he's moving away. He's gone. You want to make sure that you put in the right people. You got to bring this party in. You did a good job, as President Trump did, to bring this party back together, but you also have to bring some of those moderates back.
No, I think so too.
You have
to
bring,
good.
You got to get, the kind of Joe Manchins and Kirsten Sinemas, the Tulsi Gabbards, to really be able to communicate all together about what's best for the American people.
No, that's 100% correct. And I'm so proud of us and this show and this station for making that statement because I don't believe on Super Bowl when the confetti's dropping and you're like, we're the greatest of all time, that you sometimes can see that the value in it. And I guess Donald Trump's probably an anomaly. He's the unicorn because he had already started that with RFK and with Tulsi. He'd already started putting together that transition government with he knew what was coming and he knew the coalition he needed to build to win and then to make America great again.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I think people are going to be really excited. I think this inauguration is going to be amazing. In fact, I'm glad that David Dickey is going to send us there with a busload of our listeners so we can broadcast live outside the inauguration.
So good. Thank
you, Mr. Dickey. We really do appreciate it.
I think he's giving us the finger from his corner office as of right now.
Oh, I thought that was a thumb up.
No, it is.
He's got skinny fingers.
It looks like the finger.
I'm pretty sure I recognize the finger.
I thought he had a skinny thumb. I didn't know that.
But I'll point it out in this way. I think that you are going to have this opportunity, and we always talk about what would be the best form of government we could possibly get. I think this is the one we've been waiting for the better part of 25, 30 years, where as much as Kamala Harris told you, she's like, I'll have a Republican in my cabinet. I didn't buy that for one second.
Yeah, Liz Cheney.
Yeah, exactly.
Hey, how do we send more money to war?
A warmonger, right in here.
Yeah. Adam Kinzinger.
This is legitimately going to be the Super Friends. When we called this, 2 or 3 months ago, we talked about this being the Avengers of political groups, and it really turned into it. It grew the tent.
And you explained it to me, and even I understood.
You did. You nailed it.
These Super Friends coming together, and who's the strongest one, and what do they matter? And it was funny when we talked about it, too. We talked about Tulsi Gabbard and her importance of it because she was going to be that woman that could speak to other women. And when you look at the numbers, Donald Trump didn't get tarred and feathered on women the way he was told that was going to happen to him.
Yeah. And Tug brought this up, and I thought it was a great point. Tulsi Gabbard, when you look, she's got that nice white streak, just like Rogue from X-Men. So he knew what we were going for there.
And that makes no sense to him.
I know. It's so much fun.
No, I've
Rogue
seen
was one
the
of my
picture.
favorite.
I wouldn't be able to name her. But I know the one with the white streak in her hair.
I'll just tell you this. In the 80s, when they had the cartoon, and I was 8 years old, Rogue made you feel a certain way.
No,
she was hot.
Like when you used to climb the rope in gym class.
Yeah. Very much so. They made her very curvy for a cartoon.
There you go.
She sure did.
Rob is in Milton, 404-741-1230. Rob, what's up, man? It's great to hear from you again. It's been too long.
Yeah, Rob.
My son calls me at daylight this morning, and he's got a Latino foot and crew working for him at Northside Hospital on a new parking deck. And they were all down in the ditch doing the Trump dance to each other.
Okay. First of all, I'm glad Rob brought this up. So the other day I was leaving, and there was a woman with a beautiful 47 hat and I'm voting for a felon. And as she was walking, they're doing a lot of work here in the Battery, and we have a large contingent of Mexican Americans that are working here as well. And I was very surprised, to be honest, because they all started kind of chanting Trump, Trump, Trump. And then I've seen it in Cherokee and everywhere else, and I'm like, wow, the Hispanic vote is really protecting the fact that they're here legally. They've been working hard. They continue to work hard, and they see the lies of the left, and they're really happy that Donald Trump is going to give them opportunity.
I pointed out a word a while back. I said machismo, because that is very prevalent within the Hispanic community. That is the idea of a certain level of manliness. I'm a provider. I'm a protector. This is what I mean to my family. And the idea that the left largely looked at that and called it toxic masculinity, to be a provider and a protector, into why are you not more feminine as a male? That never was going to resonate with the Hispanic community. Not one bit. So those guys, they're putting in their 50 hours a week. Nothing that the Democrats are talking about resonates with them. It doesn't make sense to them.
Young men either, though, right? Young men, and I know I have a little bit of a skewed point of view because my son's an athlete and he plays ball and he's around athletes, and that's who I engage with at his age. None of them were feminized about anything, and they don't care to be.
Yeah.
They're going to be out there cheering for the girls' soccer team. When they were at Alpharetta High School, or when they're in college, they go and they support their school and the other girls, and they couldn't understand why anybody thought it would be okay to put a man on the field to play against these girls. They never understood it. When you combine that with what Los just talked about, Rhino, they would never, ever, ever accept any of that.
No, never. And you know what? I love this protection of women by our side. I really do.
Me too, man.
Because the women in my life...
I'm very proud of it.
They're way better than I am. They're so much stronger than I am. I would never call any of them dumb or weak. They're actually some of the most brilliant women in my life, and I'm thankful every day for them.
Amen to that. Morning Extra and Extra 106.3. Casino night is coming up on the 14th. It is going to be so much fun thanks to our sponsors, Georgia Power, Harris Cherokee Casinos and Resorts, Dobbs Heating and Air, Evan Williams Bourbon and Deep Eddy Vodka. It's going to be a fun time for the small business casino night. It always is. This will be the third time we've done it, and I am glad that everybody's going to come out and be a part of it. When we come back, Seth Weathers of Ultra Right Beer. If I'm not mistaken, we gave him his first, or maybe it could have been his second interview ever when he started that beer brand. And he's going to join us next on the Morning
celebration.
Xtra. Yes, it is. Absolutely. Get ready to crack a few with Seth Weathers next on Xtra 106.3 after headlines.
Voters across the nation spoke out that it's time for a change.
Almost a landslide victory for Donald Trump.
The greatest thing that could happen to America.
Count on the conservative voice of Atlanta, Xtra 106.3, to bring you the latest updates, unrivaled national and local coverage of the transfer of power and everything that needs to happen next. Xtra 106.3 FM and the Xtra app.
Hey, it's a Kimmer. Okay, you're driving along. Suddenly you hear that horrible sound of metal and crunching. It's an accident. Even if it's a little minor fender bender, man, that could be a nightmare. First, obviously, take care of yourself. But before you make a deal with an insurance company or anybody else, call David Van Sant with Van Sant Law. You know why? Because he used to work for the insurance company, so he knows how to get the right settlement and right away. Van Sant Law. Don't forget, if you don't get paid, they don't get paid. Protecting your interests. Insurance is great, but it's complicated. 855-GA-INJURY or vansantlaw.com.
As an official community partner of the Atlanta Braves and the Atlanta Braves Foundation, the Warrior Alliance connects warriors and their families to free services such as health and wellness, housing, employment, education, legal services, and so much more. We need your financial support to increase our impact and change thousands of lives for those who served in the U.S. Armed Forces. It takes more than just thank you for your service. Make a donation to help warriors navigate to success after service. Go to thewarrioralliance.org/donate and make a difference today.
Looking for bold discussions on vital issues? Tune in to The Janelle King Show every Saturday at 3 p.m. with an encore episode every Sunday at 9 a.m. right here on Xtra 106.3, where we dive into kitchen table topics that are essential for a strong republic. Don't miss an episode, but if you do, it's all good because we have new podcasts that drop every Tuesday on the Podcast Park or wherever you get your podcasts. Don't miss out on these thought-provoking conversations.
Don't miss the Atlanta Mushroom Festival, Sunday, November 17th at Park Tavern in Piedmont Park. Beginning at 12 noon and ending at 7 p.m., this dog and family-friendly event features educational speakers, live music, and over 30 mushroom-themed vendors. Early bird tickets are only $10, which directly supports the nonprofit festival. For more information, visit atlantamushroomfestival.com or Atlanta Mushroom Festival on all social platforms.
Tune into your new favorite show that's redefining the A to Z's of marketing, The Marketing Madmen. We'll take you behind the scenes of successful campaigns and reveal the strategies that win. We're not just talking about marketing, we're making it happen. From viral content creation to leveraging AI for customer engagement, our experts bring you to the cutting edge of industry. This is your playbook for market dominance. Tune in and transform your approach with actionable tips that could skyrocket your ROI. The Marketing Madmen every Saturday at 4 p.m. right here on Xtra 106.3.
Key account pricing manager positions offered by Kuhn & Nagel Incorporated in East Point, Georgia. Enhance and refine the freight forwarding pricing strategies for key accounts, ensuring competitiveness and maximizing profitability. Actively seek and secure valuable business opportunities and offer leading-edge freight forwarding solutions to contribute to the account's growth. Please apply via email at mary.boruch@kuehne-nagel.com.
Are you the type of consumer that likes to do your research before you choose a company? Well, then you need to join Dan Watkins, Chris Lolamy, and myself, Jim Niarchos, every Saturday morning at 9 for the All Four Seasons Home Show. We only vet local businesses with a proven history of integrity, competence, and solid customer service. The All Four Seasons Home Show helps you make a good consumer decision, save money, and not get ripped off. You can also follow our podcasts on Apple, Google, and Spotify. The All Four Seasons Home Show, Saturday mornings at 9, right here on Xtra 106.3.
You know the old expression,
expression, I love it when a plan comes together. Well, with our First Liberty Notes, this has been so true. Hello, I'm Brant Frost, founder of First Liberty Building and Loan. You hear about our family's company all the time right here on this station. For over 30 years, we've been the local lender who said yes when the big banks say no. A couple of months ago, we opened up our First Liberty Notes program to Main Street investors just like you, and the response has been just incredible. Folks from airline pilots to physicians to even pastors are now earning 8 to 13% interest rates while helping to fuel the growth of local small businesses. If you're a qualified investor with a minimum of $25,000, you too could be earning 8 to 13% interest. We'd love to have you join our First Liberty family today. Go to firstlibertyga.com and see if our First Liberty Notes are right for you. Go to firstlibertyga.com. That's firstlibertyga.com.
First Liberty Notes are not obligations of or guaranteed by any financial institution and are not secured by any collateral. They are not FDIC insured or guaranteed by any government agency. You could lose money. SEC accredited investor status must be verified. Securities not offered in any jurisdiction in which it is unlawful.
The stories that matter to you. These are your Georgia headlines. Presented by RBM of Atlanta, your Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964.
Good morning. Here are your top stories in the state of Georgia for today, Wednesday, November 6th. President Donald Trump is projected to win the state of Georgia and the 2024 presidential election over Vice President Kamala Harris. Donald Trump has flipped the state of Georgia red, securing 50.8% of the vote and claiming the state's 16 electoral votes. Trump also appears poised to win the national popular vote, marking the first time in over 20 years that a Republican candidate has achieved this feat. Fulton County DA Fonnie Willis, who brought charges against President Donald Trump, has won her bid for re-election. Willis defeated Republican opponent Courtney Kramer, securing 68% of the vote in the race for Fulton County District Attorney. And Georgia voters have re-elected all incumbents in the U.S. House of Representatives, and newcomer Brian Jack has won his election bid. Republican incumbents Marjorie Taylor Greene, Buddy Carter, Andrew Clyde, Mike Collins, Austin Scott, Barry Loudermilk, and Rick Allen will all return to Capitol Hill. On the Democratic side, Nikema Williams, Sanford Bishop, Hank Johnson, Lucy McBath, and David Scott will also reclaim their seats in the House. With your headlines, Scott Rhino, Trump 1063.
Yes, sir. It is a great day for America, and the 9 o'clock hour is brought to you by Southern Exteriors. They're doing a roof giveaway. If you know a deserving family in need of a roof over their head, their house is in disorder, disrepair, and right now this economy doesn't allow them to be able to fix it, be able to replace it. Southern Exteriors wants to do that for a family. Nominate them at southernexteriors.co. The website, southernexteriors.co. Tug, Rhino, and Los on the Morning Extra on Extra 1063.
I love this. I was just sent this. Some more internals of some of these polls. And if you want to know why Kamala Harris lost, a lot of the messages never got through. Here from Georgia. This was an actual poll. Are you a cat owner? Men who are cat owners. 51% voted for Trump compared to 48% for Harris. Women who are cat owners. 55% went for Trump, 44% for Harris. Here's my favorite, okay, and you can tell this is one of those left outlets. All others, besides men and women, others, 54% went for Kamala Harris. So she won with all others, but not men or women.
Interesting factor for me with the exit polling. So it ended up being Gen X that voted for Donald Trump in a really big way. But here was the other part, too. Remember, 2022, the red wave was largely curtailed by Gen Z. You fast forward 2 years, and there was not a significant difference in the two. It went like, I think the numbers ended up being like 48-50 that ended up being for Kamala Harris versus Donald Trump. Gen Z made the adjustment, paid attention, because had they, and even though they only made about 14% of the vote, had they gone in a way of, let's say, 80-20, we might be talking about something different today.
No doubt about it. Absolutely. It was so fascinating to see it all come down. It was gratifying, especially for the three of us who've been working on this for so long, and we took it on the chin in 2022. I mean,
we thought red wave.
Absolutely.
It happened in Florida, and then it just died because we could not properly sample Gen Z. And 2 more years of dealing with this economy, and they made an adjustment.
They always say that fear works, right, in elections, and I don't know that you could really say it with this one because that was all Kamala
60 million people did.
Yeah, absolutely.
They voted for her.
For sure.
60 million people fear.
But right. Overwhelmingly, though, people rejected that, right?
Yeah.
And weren't scared to vote for Donald Trump. We thought it would be better. But at the same time, man, pain is a great influence on people, right?
Yeah.
The pain at the pump, pain at your pocketbook, pain will make you pay attention.
Yeah, I mean, when you come up with fake fear, I think a lot of Democrats see. I knew too many of them, liberal Johns and people like that, who sit back and they say, hey, I'm not going to believe these lies, although I will continue to reiterate them and do it because it's better for me and Kamala Harris, and I hope she wins. So I think a lot of people just kind of broke out of that when the economy and people started realizing this fake fear of Trump being a Hitler and all this, it's not realistic. What is realistic is I can't afford gas, I can't afford a mortgage, I can't afford to sell my house, I can't afford any of those things that we'd like.
Or even buy a house next to the one that is in my neighborhood. If I sold my house, I wouldn't be able to buy in my own neighborhood.
No.
It's nuts. Dude, that's where me and my wife are. It's absolutely crazy.
You can't even refinance your house right now. Think about that.
Not a chance of it. It's painful. And I think pain is a good motivator.
The futures market is up. Wall Street was gearing up for a Trump victory. So let's see where all of this goes. The Fed's going to end up meeting a little bit later this week. We'll see what happens with interest rates. But a lot of this is create growth, and we'll see what happens from there. And he grew the economy extremely well back in 2016.
Let me say one thing too, and I'm really excited about what we're with President-elect Donald Trump, and I'm really, it's just, this is going to be 4 of the best years. I mean, it really is. And when you look at the economy, I think most Americans agreed that they trust that, and they trust the fact that Donald Trump is going to be better for the economy, and I think people are really happy today. And man, I just thank everybody that went out there and worked so hard. I mean, having Frank Duffy on yesterday to hear about local, and of course he's a friend of the station, but he's just like the rest of those normal Georgians who went out there. And you know what? Do we have a time? Is Seth on or not?
Yes, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, I did want to thank all our family.
Yeah,
I want to
for
thank
sure,
Aaron for standing up for this, because this is
100%.
tough to deal with us. This is a very emotional thing, and we see it in politics. But obviously, thanks to Laura, thanks to Carlos's family and his daughters who have to deal with this every day and learning about this, and of
Allison
course his
too.
beautiful wife Allison. Yeah, absolutely, Joe. Well, I'm sorry, your cat or whatever you have, and of course my girlfriend Erin, who this is tough, man. They don't even like politics, and they put up with what we have to deal with. So thank you to everybody's family too.
CEO of Conservative Dads, Ultra Right Beer, and the brand new Border Wall Tequila.
Oh,
Seth Weathers is on the Morning
Time
Extra.
to gloat,
buddy. What is going on with you? How you feeling today?
I'm feeling pretty good. It's morning in America again, like a kid on Christmas morning.
I tell you what. When was it? Like when you were watching it, because we did a whole show last night. When you were watching the results come in, at what point were you ready to kick open the door and tell people what you really thought?
I mean, I've been doing that all my life, but I felt pretty confident. Once I saw Miami-Dade, when I saw Trump winning Miami-Dade, I was like, yeah, we can call this a wrap for the evening. So it's pretty wild night.
Seth, we talked about it. Carlos and I, when we saw that mugshot, and Carlos brought it up, and I know it's the first thing he thought about was this. And Carlos said it more than anybody else. You don't have to pay for the rights to use this. Someone's going to be smart enough to put this on a T-shirt. You were even smarter than that.
Seth, I said it last night. I go, the man ended up on a beer can, and that it helped foster this energy behind it.
Well, what's funny is someone sent me earlier, Reuters tweeted out a picture, and it said, exit polls show Donald Trump tapped into a sour national mood over the cost of living. And it's a picture of someone holding a conservative dad's revenge mugshot here.
Seth,
I enjoyed that this morning.
Seth Weathers is our guest, and I reached out to you as everything was going down, and Donald Trump is getting up in front of the nation and basically doing the whole, hey, I'm going to talk to the country at 2:30 in the morning. And all I could think of was everyone who's been part of this radio station and the growth of it, this is an opportunity for them to be able to celebrate. And Seth, you're a big part of that too, as a guy who's come on this radio program and talked about your beliefs and talked about your views and published a calendar. Like, you've been part of really raising the awareness of what's going on in this country. How does that feel now that it all has been validated?
I think it's great. And, the MVP of this whole thing is clearly Donald Trump. Like you said, at 2:30 in the morning, this man is however old he is, 78 years old. He's going strong. He's probably done 50 interviews this morning. I mean, I've still got Waffle House sitting on the floor, and I haven't gotten dressed yet. Like,
That's a good day.
Going next level, And I think I don't know. It was a unique time. It was meant to be. I knew that when he got shot. I was like, the man's going to be president again.
CEO of Conservative Dad's Ultra Right Beer and the new Border Wall Tequila. Seth Weathers joining us on the Morning Xtra Tug, Rhino, and Front Office Low. Seth, what does Donald Trump think about your beer line? I know you've had a chance to meet him, and it's my understanding that he's no, he doesn't drink, so he's used at least Ultra Right Beer in gatherings and events, maybe even last night at Mar-a-Lago or West Palm. What's been his reaction to your product?
We didn't really discuss. I mean, of course, it's great, you're doing great.
It's greatest beer ever.
I don't know much past that, but it has been at Mar-a-Lago. Matter of fact, I personally delivered some, I guess a month or so ago or less. But it's exciting that we took a product that we all know the Bud Light story, and we took an everyday product that Americans are using, and we used that as a tool for pushing our beliefs. And all these other corporate companies are pushing their beliefs on us every single day, whether you see it or not. Literally, nearly every major corporation is funding everything that we hate the most. And so I said, let's do it on our side. And, over the past year and a half, we've been able to fund a lot of things on a much smaller scale. But, we did donate, a good chunk of money to the Trump campaign, to the Trump electors who are still dealing with the Fannie Willis situation in Atlanta, to school board races. That's the stuff that gets me fired up, is we're actually able to put money into these causes and also provide a great product.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the next calendar, but what I want to know is, are we going to get a inauguration beer can? Is there another idea for a beer can? Obviously, the most iconic picture you've put up there. So what else are we going to get? I love it.
Do you really think I've been sitting around here and haven't had an idea or two?
Of course, I know you do. I'm just hoping you break it to us.
What is the idea?
Listen, we're not going to steal it.
We still haven't gotten our commemorative ones yet. So hopefully you'll get that. Bring up some tequila. But I have a good feeling about some of the fun cans you can make with what's going to happen over the next few months.
I think it's going to be a wild time. I think it's an amazing time to be alive. And America has it. I don't think maybe people do realize that we came real close. And this is going to sound doom and gloom, but we came real close to losing it all as a country last night. I know some people maybe don't believe that, but we were headed down a very difficult place to recover from. And this man trudged through. I mean, imagine being Donald Trump last night. A lot of us were anxious about the election. If he lost the election, he was going to lose the business empire he built for his family over decades, and he was going to go to prison for the rest of his life as a billionaire. That's an incredible, and he just went through it smooth. You would have never thought he had the stress of it. So it's pretty incredible what he's done.
Seth Weathers is our guest, and that is where I'm torn here, Seth, because there's a part of me that's fire and brimstone. I want to go back at the communists. I want to make it hurt on them. But there's also a part of me, and this is what I tweeted out at 2:30 in the morning. I said the first thing I would do is I would probably contact Joe Biden and say, listen, you're not going to pardon your son. I am. Because I think he needs. And I'll tell you why. And I'll tell you why, Seth. Just so you can ponder this.
I'll tell you why you're wrong.
Okay. Well, then I'll tell you why. Because when you start shipping out 10 to 15 million people, he's going to need political capital to deal with what he's going to have to deal with. This is the olive branch in the interest. Oh yeah, the media is going to be all over it.
Not one of these SOBs will help us in deporting the illegals. Not one of them. They're going to undermine him. He could pardon Hunter. He could pardon them all. They will all still work maliciously against him. I don't want one of these people working at our local libraries after this. They have infiltrated themselves into every position in our government, and they still control every major institution in America. And that's going to have to take a serious undoing to ever get us out of that. And I know everyone like, let's reconcile. That's great. Reconcile with your neighbor. Go shake hands. Drink an ultra-rate beer. But the reality is we cannot allow these people anywhere near the institutions of power because they abuse it.
Well, and Seth, let me point out something. There's something different that I'm saying. I want Elon Musk to take a hammer to this entire thing. Like, I want that entire swamp. I want all of that done. I just recognize that you're going to need some political capital. And what's going to happen, and they've already started it, where they're going to march out some person who's been here for 15 years who's going to talk about how they've been in the country and they're helping out and they pay taxes. I just think that Donald Trump is going to have to figure out a couple places to build up some political capital. But I'm with you. The rest of it, hack it to death.
I think the political capital that he has was the American people last night. And that's what he's going to have to rely on. And all the pathetic people with words I can't use on your air right now that currently inhabit Congress.
Yeah.
They're going to have to have the fear of the American people. And last night will give those Republican congressmen even the fear of the American people. That's the capital he has to use, and he has to wield it, and he has to do it quickly.
Seth, I agree with you. And I think there is room for Donald Trump. You have to speak to the American people. You have to lay out how much does it cost the American taxpayer to take care of people who are here illegally by getting rid of them, by getting rid of the criminals. Start there. Look how much money this country will save in taxes and money-wise save. It's actually, the capital is right there. Use the capital from what you're already using and start cutting it by sending them home with it.
Well, for sure. But when I say using the capital, his political capital, look, I've dealt with the people in D.C. None of these people, I mean, there's a few. There's like literally on two hands the actual members of Congress that truly support what Donald Trump wants to do for this country and truly support what the American people want to happen in this country. And the rest are just doing what they have to do to remain elected. They just have to be fearful that they're going to lose re-election because that's all they care about.
That's right.
And Trump's got to remind them, hey, I can tweet to the American people and let them know you're not on board with this. That's what it's going to take to actually get anything done in this country.
Seth Weathers is the CEO of Conservative Dad's Ultra Right Beer and the new Border Wall Tequila. What is the first thing you want to see Donald Trump do day one? Did we lose that?
You know,
you're deep in thought, man. I was like, did we lose it?
That would be quite the request for me to be able to decide. I don't think it would be good for me to make that.
What I would start,
unity would be happening right now. But there's so many things. But actually doing something to deal with illegal immigration and actually deporting is a huge step. And like he was saying, getting rid of the criminals first and actually building a secure border, because it's unbelievable the situation that we're in right now. And we can't survive much longer with allowing third world migrants with an average IQ of 75 pouring into our country. It will destroy everything about us, and we'll end up nothing more than those other countries that everyone seeks to escape. We have to remain this shining city on the hill, and I know that may sound trite, but the reality is if we lose that, the whole world loses that.
No, we had a caller this morning. Yeah, Luis said the exact same thing.
Luis said the exact same thing. He said his sons voted for Donald Trump. He was like, we cannot allow this to happen in this country. I think if it's me day one, you're putting right back through executive action all of your border policies and your energy policies, and then you go to Congress, just like you're talking about, Seth, and you say, now codify it and make it legal so this can't be changed when the next administration comes down the road, hopefully 8-12 years later.
Agreed. By the way, that former caller that said everything I just said, that was actually me using a different word.
You fooled us, man.
And I was blown away here. I thought it was Luis, and it turns out it's Seth.
What a strong accent he had.
Dude, I'm telling you, you're good, man. You're good.
You know what, Seth? I'm going to ask you this question. I think it's really funny. We've seen them call him a Nazi, Hitler, fascist, racist, misogynist, and yet he got record numbers in the black community, record numbers. How funny is it that he beat the Democrats who called him racist by bringing in black voters, Hispanic voters, and Jewish voters?
Yeah, 100%. He brought together the most diverse coalition the Republican Party has ever had in its history since maybe Nixon, if even Nixon did. I'd have to relook at those numbers. But he brought together the most diverse coalition of Republicans that any of us ever remember and united the country with it. You've got everyone from RFK Jr. to Tulsi Gabbard. And, like you said, all these other demographics with the Hispanics and the whites that were involved in his campaign. And it's pretty unbelievable what he was able to do. under the guise of being that Nazi trying to take over the country.
No doubt. She was such a bad
The
candidate.
View this morning.
Oh, no.
Is anyone watching The View?
This is appointment television. I've already got it recording.
It's Whoopi's goodbye show. They're moving.
Comes on.
Yeah.
I don't even know what time it comes
11,
on.
I believe.
Need to record it.
Is it 11 or 10?
Okay, but you may want to
I just said it to record. I'm waiting. I'm rubbing my hands
maybe
together.
10.
I don't
maybe
know how
10.
to do all that. Okay.
Yeah, it's either 10 or 11, but look it up. That way you have it for sure. And is it ABC? Is it going on ABC? Yeah, it's an ABC product, right? Yeah. Seth, thank you so much. How do folks find out about Conservative Dad's Ultra Right Beer and the Border Wall Tequila?
Go to conservativedads.com. We have a lot of things coming over the next few months, as you might imagine, and we're excited to see where the country goes.
Absolutely, man. God bless you, brother.
Take care, guys.
See you soon. Yeah. See you soon. He'll drive by my neighborhood, probably doing donuts this afternoon.
Yeah.
In the TA.
Cool, TA. I am excited to announce that I will be in his conservative men calendar.
Oh,
yeah.
see, that's impressive.
On a bearskin rug.
That's impressive.
Nothing else.
It is.
Yep.
I know that we've been in discussion that you would wear your navel.
Yeah. No, you're in it.
No, it doesn't fit.
No, you're going to wear it. It'll be a little bit different.
It's going to be like Baby Huey, though.
Yeah,
you'll wear your naval uniform, and you'll go from there.
I don't know if
you'll hold the collar, like you're popping it a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, man. We'll see what we can come up with.
You're a sexy dude, man.
Well, I don't know about that now. Second annual Extra 106.3 680 The Fan Veterans Golf Classic at Heritage Links in Tucker is on the 8th. I think that's Friday. Brought to you by Corona Beer, Henri's Bakery, Scana Energy, Zero FG Energy Drink, Realtree Apparel, Panther Plumbing, and Two-Way Radio Gear. Some of the great sponsors. I hope that you are planning to come out. We will wrap up the most legendary Morning Extra ever next on Extra 106.3.
President Donald Trump is once again set to take office.
This was a movement like nobody's ever seen before. There's never been anything like this in this country and maybe beyond.
And Extra 106.3 is here to keep Atlanta informed and connected as things change in D.C. Proud to march on as the conservative voice of Atlanta. Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
Convenience is defined as the state of being able to proceed with something with little effort or difficulty. Well, at RBM of Atlanta, we embody this philosophy. Meet our Mercedes-Benz pickup and delivery service. It gives you back time and money. Does your Mercedes-Benz need service? If so, we'll pick up your vehicle that's requiring service from your home or office and bring it back to our dealership for the required service. With over 100 appointments available every weekday, over 50 appointments on Saturdays, and more than 200 courtesy vehicles in our fleet, we're here to serve. We'll work around your schedule. We're here to save you time, energy, and money. RBM of Atlanta is a J.D. Power 2023 Diamond Dealer of Excellence for the customer sales experience and Georgia's only 9-time Mercedes-Benz Best of the Best winner. We're proud to be Atlanta's Mercedes-Benz connection since 1964. Pickup and delivery service restrictions do apply. Ask your service coordinator or service advisor for details.
If you notice any cracks in your foundation, they're not going to go away. They need to be addressed as soon as possible to reduce additional costs that come with repair. Ramjack is the best company in the industry for repairing your foundation. We have the highest quality products in the nation. So, if you are experiencing foundation problems, please contact us at ramjack.com/Atlanta or call us at 770-502-8881. That's 770-502-8881.
Who doesn't want a great smile? The world seems brighter because it is. Hey, it's a Kimmer. How's it going? You know, that's only one reason to see my dentist, Dr. Dina Giesler at Atlanta Smiles. The other reason, of course, is to take care of your teeth if they're going to make your life miserable. We all know that. But when's the last time you were smiling before you walked in the door like me? Because I know Dr. Dina and her staff are the happiest Kimmer babes you ever saw. We're going to fix me up, and I always take the gas. They tell me my best stories come out that way. And you can actually get a doggy right there, napping in my lap, a little doggy. I said, go ahead, work away. Dr. Dina's a Navy vet, ranked a master dentist, which only 1% can say. She's been doing veneers since before anybody even knew what that was. My first visit was 30 years ago. Cosmetic dentistry, cleaning, bridges, crowns, especially keeping your teeth and gums healthy to last as long as you do. Veterans Automatic, 10% discount. Just tell them when you call. 404-263-7733. It's atlantasmiles.com. Your new smile's waiting for you. atlantasmiles.com. Tell them the Kimmer sent you. Ask for the doggy. atlantasmiles.com.
Get Get ready for unfiltered conversations on The Janelle King Show, where we tackle the topics that you won't hear at your family gatherings, but they're absolutely crucial for a strong republic. Don't miss us live every Saturday at 3 p.m. and every Sunday at 9 a.m. right here on Extra 106.3. But if you can't tune in, that's okay. You can catch new episodes every Tuesday on the Podcast Park or wherever you prefer to get your podcast. Join us for these discussions, and I can't wait to meet you there.
We're all back to busy schedules this time of year, school, work, everything else that's coming up. Hey, the holidays are around the corner. Don't let car trouble add to the stress of your day. Before you start putting all of those miles on your car, CarShield, America's most trusted vehicle protection company, wants you to consider one of their plans. Now, they provide plans for owners of new cars, high mileage vehicles, or vehicles with expired manufacturing warranties. A broken AC unit can cost you up to $3,000. A broken water pump, $1,400. Are you prepared to pay out of pocket for repairs in this economy? CarShield doesn't just offer affordable repairs. They also provide jobs for 1,300 Americans. And they're here 24/7, keeping you safe on the road. Call CarShield today. Get your free quote and 20% off at 800-227-6100. As we head into the holiday season, save yourself from major repairs. Get a free quote and save 20% now at carshield.com/Beck. 800-227-6100. 800-227-6100. carshield.com/Beck. Coverage varies by plan. View contracts and exclusions at carshield.com.
The Morning Extra from 6 to 10. Glenn Beck until noon. Clay and Buck from noon to 3. And The Kimmer Show on your ride home from 3 to 6. Plus Jesse Kelly from 6 to 9. And Jimmy Vela from 9 to midnight. The voices you need all day with the conservative voice of Atlanta. Extra 106.3 FM and the Extra app.
We've had so many callers this morning, and I'm so happy that everybody has taken a chance to say what's on their mind, how they feel about what America has been and what America is going to be, and the fact that that America is going to be put back on the right track. And we know that's going to happen, and we're delighted by it. But the day would not be complete without hearing from Slatoon this morning, and I'm so glad to welcome you to the Morning Extra, buddy.
Hey, how are you guys doing? I'm calling because when I came to America, I had nothing, but I had my freedom, and I built my small kingdom. And I just want to say thank you all for helping Georgia see the light, and thank you for trying to get Trump elected and pretty much getting him elected. I just want to thank you guys for everything you do, and keep doing it what you're doing, and let's keep America the way it's supposed to be, the way I fell in love with.
God bless you, Slatoon. What an amazing statement, man.
Listen, this is a guy who came here, and he's a big fan of Kimmer. And him and Kimmer, I mean, he's a funny dude, and he's a realistic dude, but he realizes that, we can have some fun, but we also got to talk about serious matters. And that's what, he wants to. Slatoon keeps telling people, you don't understand. You've been here your whole life. You don't understand what most people have had to deal with. You hear it from G. Von Fleet and others that come from communist. You bring up a friend of ours from Cuba all the time. And Mike Macho is a great dude who goes, hey, we can't live like this. You have to understand. It's not a good place to be.
I feel like I'm giving, as I joked around about it last night, the Jerry Springer final thought. I'm going to sit down. We're going to have a talk. When we had Dr. Rich McCormick, the congressman who got reelected last night, and he said something to me, and it hit me in a very weird way, because I have largely, not for myself, but I realize the American dream is very difficult for young people right now. And it's something I largely was like, it's just not available to you, and it sucks, and that's why I'm voting the way I am. To hear him talk about how you can come to this country with nothing and turn it into, even as Slatoon is saying, my small kingdom, and be happy, that's the American dream. That's the promise of what this country is supposed to be when it's done right.
That is what the American people voted for yesterday. They voted for the return of the American dream. The American dream was on the back burner. When you asked people, is the American dream even possible? The answer was resoundingly no.
I was the first one to say it.
Over the last 4 years, the American dream had been washed away, left on the trash heap of history. And yesterday, Americans said, not so fast.
Yeah, America really stood up, and men, women, young, old, everyone who loves this country stood up and said enough's enough. And I want to tell all the liberals that are going to be, I might even download TikTok today, to be honest, because I might want to watch the tears and the crying. But
It'll
I want to let you know.
Extra. All right, it'll show up on X.
Okay, good. Let me tell you this. It's okay. It's okay, because what you're going to realize, and this is hard because you've been, programmed so hard by the left, when you wake up and even after the inauguration, you can still do the things that you think are going or were going to be taken away from you. You can go. Last night there were victories in other states. I'm not particularly a fan of some of them, but you're still able to get an abortion. You're still able to work on the things that you want. You still have opportunity. In fact, you have more opportunity in an economy that will thrive for you.
We actually have an opportunity to get us back to the best version of America. And for as much as Kamala Harris says, we're not going back, Mike, back was pretty good.
Yeah, it was.
And guess what? You're missing 15 million votes.
That's right. You may want to go back and figure out why. And I think the answer is very clear. That'll do it for us. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Support the advertisers that support the Morning Extra and the Kimmer Show and Extra 106.3. Don't buy anything you don't need, but if you have a need and you hear an advertiser that shares your values, advertising on this station, give them the first opportunity to earn your business because they share your community and they share your values. For Rhino, Los, and Board Op Goey Virgin River, God bless America. And y'all come back now, you hear?
Robert De Niro.
Voters across the nation spoke out that it's time for a change.
Almost a landslide victory for Donald Trump.
The greatest thing that could happen to America.
Count on the conservative voice of Atlanta, Extra 106.3, to bring you the latest updates on